Hey Red, how are you? Hey Evan, how are you? Okay, just wait for a few more people to get on here because there's something I want to address. This is just starting. I just jumped on here because I'm kind of pissed off. So just so you know, this is not going to be too much training stuff. But just as somebody down below one of my videos, and this guy's been kind of a bit of a fan for a little while. He's been making some positive comments on my channel and stuff. And then he read something on Reddit. And there was just some troll on there just making stuff up about me, telling him that I'm not natural and that he has proof and all this kind of stuff. So one thing I want to say to you guys, and I mean most of you guys on this channel are intelligent enough to understand that there is such thing as slanderous remarks that are untrue. Hey Mapleberry Farm, how you doing, buddy? So basically sometimes, okay, I'll tell you some stories here. One thing that I want you guys to understand, and anybody that's watching this video in the future, is one thing you have to understand. In the court of law, they take into account motive. All right, so motive is going to show you a little bit of the direction of whether somebody's being honest or not. Now, the fact is, with some people that slander other people, there is a motive. Sometimes that motive is jealousy. Sometimes that motive is they just want to hit you where it hurts because they don't like you. And as you guys know, I've had lots of arguments on this channel with people about training technique, about philosophy, about whether my training means I'm an idiot or not, the way I train, all this kind of stuff. So there's been a lot of debates and things like that that have gone on over the years. And the fact is, some of these people are pissed off at me, so they will make shit up to try to hurt me somehow or to kill my subscribership and say, he's not natural, I've got proof. Now, the thing is that if somebody tells you they have proof but they have none, that shouldn't be enough for you to basically believe it, right? I mean, I shouldn't even have to make a video about this, but the fact is that when I'm fired up like this because of people's lack of intelligence, this goes in alignment with your training. You need to use your intelligence. And if there's not evidence to support something, somebody can make up anything. Like I said to this one commenter, I said, I can call you a child molester and say, I just heard something somewhere that you are that. But if there's no proof, like, what kind of an idiot must I be if I believe that and just come to you and start accusing you, right? So the thing is that I'm trying to help with this channel. I'm trying to help people use their intelligence around things. Really look at the evidence, look at what's going on in your training, look at what's going on in your life, and make decisions based on that. But don't just believe shit because it's told to you. So I'm saying not to believe about what's told to you about training, but then you're going to believe slander without any provocation or proof. Like, holy shit. Like, you know, like I said, most of you guys are intelligent enough to understand. You can read my heart up. You can tell that I'm not bullshitting you, but at the same time, there is a certain lack of intelligence out there where people are trying to believe that everybody that has some muscle must be not natural or never was. And then there was just another comment down below where a guy's like saying, oh, well, all these YouTubers aren't natural. I should not be natural then. It's like, holy shit, put in 15 fucking years and then come back to me and talk to me about whether you can achieve something or not. You know, don't be giving up in 6 months and be like, oh my God, I don't look like, you know, Jason or Michael Hearn or Arnold right away, you know, and then be trying to justify yourself into the easy way, right? Because this is the problem. A lot of these trolls out there that are making up this shit is that they took the easy way in their life and they're trying to justify their choice in taking the easy way. So then they're trying to accuse everybody else and say, oh, they must have taken the easy way too. And then they're pissed off about the fact that their easy way still didn't work out for them. So understand motive. When people are pissed off, what they try to do is they try to kill your business, they try to kill your relationships, or they try to kill you violently or physically, right? So these different people that are disempowered in their lives, they try to hurt you in different ways. And if I could find them, and at some point I'm going to, and I will start suing each individual fucking person that starts slandering me, I will be taking them to court. When I have the money and the funds to do it, I will be taking these motherfuckers to court. Because you cannot get away with telling lies about people and trying to kill their way of life just because you don't like them. You know, truth has to be first and foremost, you know, and I would encourage everybody on this channel to embrace that because truth is nothing more than the status quo. So yeah, this is a fiery video. I'm sorry if it's not extremely positive, but the thing is, we're dealing with some people that are heavily invested in their negativity and attacking other people with it, as you've seen with other YouTubers that have also done the same thing with me, right? So now I'm going to basically go a little bit through the comments here. So, okay, I'm going to tell you guys a story, okay? Because you guys are not going to believe this, but it's pretty true. It's like exactly true. When I was in my mid-20s and competing quite a bit, And I was looking pretty good. I was competing, and everybody knew me as the natural bodybuilder guy. And lots of guys would come up to me, and they had no idea what kind of life I was leading, as far as I wasn't happy in my life at that time. But there'd be the odd guy that, especially a kid or 20-year-old, would be looking at me and say, wow, I wish I was Jason, because he has it all figured out, because he's got big biceps, right? And that's the way kids think, right? So it got to me that there was this rumor going around that this drug dealer was saying something about me, and saying that he sells me drugs, and that he was telling everybody this in different gyms. So I found out who this guy was, and I approached him, and I was ready to knock his fucking teeth out. And I said, what the hell's going on? Are you telling me that you're telling everybody that I get drugs from you or something? What kind of shit is that? And he goes, I never said it. I never said it. Meanwhile, I heard it from 2 or 3 different people that this guy was saying that. Well, what was happening was he was using me as a testimonial so he could make a profit. He was like, oh, if you want to look like Jason, just buy shit from me, and now you're going to make money. So this was his motive, you see? He had a motive to make a profit, and somehow by slandering me, he was actually not worried about dragging my name through the mud or telling lies about me, but it was increasing his profits because there were insecure people that wanted to look like Jason. They thought, oh, well, Jason must have cheated, so I have to too. So again, this boils down to motive. Understand the motive of where the information is coming from whenever you assess information. It's just like when people are like, oh, this pharmaceutical company said that this vaccination is good for me. Well, what's in it for them? Is your health the most important thing to them? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But if you follow the trail of motive, you will find out whether that information is credible or not. So over the years, I have had lots of people that have been heavily invested in slandering me. And the fact is, it boils down to jealousy and competition. Because if they somehow make me look diminished, then it increases their profit margin in a lot of cases. Because it's like, oh, don't train with Jason. Don't buy his workout programs. He's this, he's that. And they make up all these stories. And then, of course, guess what? Around the corner, there's something they're going to sell to you. And this is the thing. So is it a legitimate business practice? No, it's very underhanded and bullshit. And the fact is that sometimes people make their way in life by destroying other people or trying to, even if they have to lie about it. So that's all I have to say about that. I will take questions now if you have some, but I just had to get that off my chest because this is really annoying when somebody that I think was valuing my content then was so quick to judge me without even looking at where the information was coming from. So please, guys, you can email me, ask me questions if you have concerns about something, but don't outright accuse me without even asking me what the hell is going on, right? So there was this guy on, I found, okay, first of all, I found multiple articles about me on the internet of different guys saying shit about me. And some of these articles were on these websites like, they were like on bulletin board systems that I didn't have an account on that bulletin board system, so I couldn't respond to what they were saying. But there are lots of guys that will just say stuff and then somehow it helps support what they're trying to sell to that person they're talking to, right? So this is the thing. You know, I don't know what else to say about it. The bottom line is that if somebody comes to you and says you're a murderer or something like that, and you know you're not a murderer, I mean, just, you know, I've been watching Downton Abbey on Netflix. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it's pretty funny, but it's a good show. And no, this just came up just today, and just 20 minutes ago, I just saw this comment. I'm in the middle of editing a vlog for the channel, and then this guy makes this comment down there, and I'm like, anyway, horrible, right? So anyway, that's why I'm doing this defense here. I'm just basically talking to you guys and just understanding motive, where information's coming from. Don't just believe shit. And anyway, in that show that I'm watching, there's a guy that's accused of murder, but at the same time, nobody's actually looking at the evidence properly to really see if he did it or not. So yeah, I'm asking you guys to use your intelligence. Anybody that's watching this channel, I mean, you guys all do because you're tuned in right now. There are people that want to believe the worst about everyone because it somehow makes them feel better about themselves. Maybe there's some shitty little, you know, parts of themselves that they don't like. And instead of embracing the fact that they're human, they start to say, no, I got to try to pull everybody else down somehow and find something negative about them for me to feel better about myself, you know? No person on this planet is perfect, but I am not a fucking liar. That's one thing I will tell you right now. I've been known to have battles with people. I've been known to have battles sometimes too quickly. But the one thing I'm not is a liar, right? Yeah. So that's it. You know, and like you said, Christopher Lenz, he's saying F the haters. You know, I don't care about haters. Haters, I get it. People can hate. But when somebody hates you, it's different when they say, I'm hating you, but now I want to make up lies about you and put this whole scheme alive to make it look like you're guilty of a crime you didn't commit. I have a real problem with that, you know? Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, and you're a lobotomized sheep, you and Jason Blah. Anyway, this is not about him. This is about somebody else, a commenter. So just so you know, this is not about him. Yeah, and Jediah Moto, you're getting some results from some of the stuff I've talked about on this channel, and that's exactly it. I mean, I'm not here to tell you that I'm right about everything. I'm here to tell you I'm right about everything for me, and that you are encouraged to find your way. But the thing is that, like I said, there's this slander that's going on, and I'm just a small channel. This is the sad part. It's just that the fitness industry is so full of negativity. And that's probably why I've been called to go into it, because as a spiritual teacher, which is what I do, I'm here to destroy negativity. And I don't care what I have to do it. But the fact is, light always destroys dark. Truth always destroys lies in the end. The truth always comes out in the end. That's the thing. So, yeah, I'm hoping that you guys are finding a deeper level of truth in your life, in whatever it is that you're doing. And that truth has to be with your own freedom and has to do with your own expression or freedom to be yourself and to enjoy that, regardless of your bicep size, regardless of whether your muscle shape is meeting the standard of somebody else's or not. Here's the thing. Enjoy your life. Enjoy yourself. That's the thing. Kakarat, are you talking about me or are you talking about somebody else? You're a lobotomized sheep. What's my ethnic background? I was from Newfoundland, which is the eastern part of this country. Mapleberry Farm, there a guy that's commenting, he's from New Brunswick, so he's familiar with that area. I'm from Newfoundland, but I found out recently I'm native. But that was like 8 years ago. I found out I have native background quite a bit. But now the government's in the middle of pulling away native status from people just because it says if you don't live in Newfoundland anymore, that means you're not native all of a sudden. So there's just this weird shit that's going on there. So yeah, I have a lot of native and French in me. Yeah. Yeah, I will be coming to drink that maple syrup. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You know, Eben Bennis, do I believe that certain foods can be estrogenic, such as soy, flax, stevia, and others? You know, there's a possibility there, but at the same time, I think you just have to find the happy medium in your life. Like I use stevia in my coffee and tea and protein powder and stuff. And honestly, if it does do a little bit of estrogenic sort of effect, that's better than cancer effect, right? Like, so I don't use a lot of the chemical type sweeteners and things. So you have to kind of weigh the good and the bad, but I'm not too nervous about that stuff. I'm not too nervous about that estrogenic effect or whatever. Like that's the thing. People are sometimes a little bit too nervous. And then they don't eat anything at all because they're like so nervous about eating the wrong food. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. Thanks, Rick Jones. Yeah, thanks. I'm glad you enjoyed the stuff. Okay, do I think humans should consume dairy? I think anybody consume anything that is right for their body. Okay, so again, I don't think there's a standard for everyone, but I consume dairy, but I do notice that I retain water with dairy. So if you're trying to look your leanest, you will not look the leanest if you're having a lot of dairy in a day. Maybe if you have a little bit, you can get away with it, but if you have a lot, you will have a tendency because of lactose and all that stuff with milk. Sometimes there is a subtle reaction in the body that causes you to look like you're retaining water, okay? So that's one thing to watch out with dairy, but does that mean dairy's bad? No, I mean, dairy can be positive for some people, I think. There's some people that say that dairy will rob you of minerals and all this. Honestly, I can't tell you for sure one way or the other. It's not like I've conducted an experiment that's direct where I can really measure that one variable and find out whether there's mineral depletion in the body during the time that I'm having more dairy or not. So some of these experiments are a little bit too hard to wage for me. I mean, but I never noticed any problem with dairy. Small amounts of dairy I find were good. It's also a cheap source of protein. Sometimes I've done low-fat cottage cheese for long periods of time in the off-season. and it was an okay way for me to eat. I found my blood sugar was fine. I get a little bit tired after having the dairy, so that might be from the lactose and things, but I found that my pumps were good in the gym, and I was able to work out, and I was able to have enough protein in my diet. So yeah, I think it just depends on what your purpose is, what you're trying to do at the time. If you're trying to lean up, then dairy might get in the way of that. But if you're trying to maintain muscle or put on muscle, then dairy might be fine. So yeah, you have to conduct your own experiment on that. Yeah, Benjamin, cow pus. See, it's funny you say it's full of cow pus from bacterial infected, you know. Bacteria is actually not a bad thing. I'm going to tell you this right now. There are some bacteria that are very good for you. So who's to say they're bad? Like there's studies that show that when kids eat dirt when they're a kid, you know, when they're babies and stuff, they're eating dirt and worms and all this shit, they have less allergies and problems later on in life. So bacteria isn't the problem. It's how your body deals with it. That's the problem. So stomach bacteria is essential for you to digest carbs properly. If your acidophilus and all this is out of balance and you don't have an ability to have bacteria in the body of the right type, you won't be able to digest. So bacteria isn't really a good argument for me not to eat something. Sometimes the more disgusting it is, sometimes the better it is for you, right? Yeah, Benjamin, it's pus though, but I don't, doesn't mean it's bad for you. It means there's bad for something else, but it doesn't mean you. What's bad for a cow and what's bad for a horse and what's bad for a human aren't necessarily the same thing. So just so you know, I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I'm not saying you're right either. That's the thing. I had a dog a long time ago, and that dog was a little Shetland sheepdog. A really, really great dog when I was around 11 years old, but I won't have a dog anymore. I don't want to pick up the big poos. I got a couple cats. That's good enough. So, but I love dogs though. Dogs are great. Yeah, Calvin Unro, dairy is great. I think in its natural form, dairy is the best. When it comes right out of the cow the way it is, natural, the way it was intended, it's actually good. It's just that when people drink this pasteurized shit and non-organic, and people are eating like stuff that's GMO fed and all this, you know, this changes what's in the milk. I mean, you know, it's the same thing as pooping. I mean, what you eat is going to dictate what you poop, right? It's the same thing. It's going to affect the milk. It's going to affect every part of an organism. So if I dip you in poison and then think that poison's not going to come out of you, that would be stupid. So it's the same thing with the cows. There's certain ones that are fed differently, and they have a different flavor of milk and a different quality of milk. And I think this has to be taken into account, right? Yeah, Mapleberry. Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. Mapleberry Farm's saying a quick trailer. I might do a trailer or something. I guess I will. I've been just so busy doing other things and just, you know, lots of stuff. But the fact is that it seems like the more good content I make as far as bodybuilding and stuff like that, the less credibility I get, because then people say, oh, you look too good, right? It's almost like I've been actually nervous sometimes about putting out content about what I look like on stage, because they're like, oh, you can't be, it just starts a big pissing contest. So I'm always trying to direct my content back to you guys. It might look like I'm the one training, but I'm trying to actually direct it back to you guys and say, okay, how can this help you out? Whether it's inspiration, whether it's music to help you pump up for the gym, whether I'm trying to get you to laugh, you know, sometimes there's shitty humor, you know, or funny humor, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, whatever. But I'm just trying to get you guys to enjoy this process, enjoy yourself, and be a part of something that says you're allowed to be you, and you're allowed to enjoy what you're doing, and you're allowed to find out what works for you, instead of just being told that no matter what, you're an idiot, and what this person over here that has something to sell to you is saying is right. Some of these people are right. So I don't have anything against people making a living. I'm trying to do the same thing. But I have a problem with people saying, I need to enslave you in order for me to make a living, even when it's not good for you. That's the problem I have. So I think as business owners in this world, we all have a responsibility to help the people that we are selling our product to. And just like Jeremy, Mapleberry Farms out there, I've been kissing his butt like crazy because he's a nice guy. Because I know Jeremy's using my music on his channel from time to time too, when he's doing his vlogs. But the fact is that he wouldn't be selling poison to you. If he's selling you maple syrup, he's probably going to do his best to make sure that that maple syrup is good for you, right? So that's the thing. I think if we had a world of people that gave a shit about their customers, because a customer that lives and that does well and prospers will buy from you again. So in the end, it just helps you out, right? It's the same thing with my brother. My brother's a naturopathic doctor, and he gives a shit about his patients, and lots of times he gives way more than is even proper. I mean, he gives more than he needs to give. Sometimes he gives too much, and I think that he should be not giving so much, because sometimes he basically overextends himself with how much he helps people. And I think it's noble, but it also has to be sustainable. But the thing is, my point is that he's not trying to make a business out of hurting people. He's trying to make a business out of helping people, right? Yes, and my brother does still work out there, Calvin. He just doesn't watch his diet so much, and he's busy with kids and a family and his business. And so, yeah, he's not in contest shape, but he's strong as hell. You just sent me a video of him doing 315 on the bench for a set of 8 or 9 reps, I think it was, 9 reps. And then locking out and everything too, and touching his chest, you know, just to prove that he can do it, right? Let me just look at the comments here. Jason V, 6 sets per body part every other day. Yeah, it's a good approach. It's a matter of what's right for you. Like sometimes I find I'm more instinctual now, but yes, let's just say generally speaking, that's a good idea. I think that works pretty good. When did I first know I would be good at this bodybuilding thing? I first knew I'd be good at this bodybuilding thing when I was about 8 years old, and I was working out in the garage. On and off, my dad would have me in the garage, and then whenever I went to the beach, people would be like, oh, your boys are working out, and they would talk to my dad, and I'd say, oh, what is your boys doing? Are they bench pressing or something like that? So this is the thing, a lot of people don't understand, like I grew up around this stuff so much, like it was the only thing I was ever good at. It was the only thing I ever was immersed in, that and karate. Karate, I was a bit of a phenom in karate when I was a younger kid, right? It wasn't so much fun when I was 17 years old, had my nose moved over, got broken and stuff, and I was like, oh, maybe this shit's not as much fun as I thought. But when I was bodybuilding, there was this war between bodybuilding and karate that I was doing, and then when I herniated my disc in my back when I was 19 years old, I think it was around 19, and I was deadlifting wrong at that time, which is how I learned proper lower back form, which I debate with people all the time, but I actually saw what one way went to, and I did the rounding of the back and popped, and something popped, and then I couldn't kick with my left leg anymore because it would cause excruciating pain. So it took me about 5-6 years to get over that. Now I can kick and everything, but I had to decide, you know, I didn't want to overtrain myself by yanking the joints all over the place, doing ballistic movements, and then doing strength training type movements. And bodybuilding was more important to me at that time because I'd already done martial arts for about 10 years. So was I a good boxer or something? No. I mean, I'm not saying that I was Mr. UFC guy, but I knew how to strike. I knew how to punch and kick, and yeah, I was pretty devastating. If you left something open, I could hit you pretty hard. But yeah, that was a different life for me then. But it's a great exercise, and yeah, so that's really one of my reasons why I train the way I do. I learned the hard way in a lot of cases, right? Okay, so I'll try to answer as much of your questions as I can, guys. So I'll rant a bit, so just stay tuned. Don't worry, I'll try to get to you, okay? Jason V, how do you learn some nice dance moves and when I should throw up a step-by-step tutorial? You know, the funny thing is, Jason, is that when I'm dancing in my neighborhood or I'm dancing out in front of the gym and stuff, like, you guys have a different experience of me than, say, the people in my area. People in my area just think I'm probably psychotic or something, or just weird. I'm stepping in front of the camera and just, dancing around. So it looks quite weird in the neighborhood, I have to say, and I'm not popular enough to be able to justify my insanity as far as I could say, hey, look, I'm famous on YouTube. This is why I'm dancing in front of my camera. So I try to kind of keep it low key, but it's pretty hard when a guy like me that, I'm dancing around with long hair and khaki pants or whatever in the middle of public somewhere. I get all sorts of things. I may actually do a video of just people, like the comments I get when people walk by me when I'm in public and what they're saying. And I mean, it'd take me forever to put it together, but yeah, I get some pretty funny comments. So yeah, a tutorial, I wouldn't say that I'm a dance master by any means. I just have some moves and rhythm. I do have rhythm. I know, and sometimes it bothers me because when I put together a video and then I upload it to YouTube, sometimes it's out of sync. Sometimes it's slightly out of sync, and I'm trying to figure out what is that. After I compress the video so it's in a small enough file format that upload, it might be compressing improperly, so it's a little bit out of sync. So I'm like, hey, wait a second, my foot landed on that beat, and I'm like, what? Why is it a little off? So anyway, I'm trying to kind of mess around with that and figure that out. But the thing is that I will put together something in the future, I guess, if you guys have enough demand for that. I mean, I've had some people ask me about the music that I make as well, and asking me about how to make music. So I will have to put something like that together as well. Hey, Arius Cosmos. Okay, Ruthless Bone, you're saying, come on, one word to break plateaus. I actually made a video, how to break through plateaus, Ruthless. So check, there's a little magnifying glass down there and say how to break through plateaus, how to get over plateaus. And I made a whole video on that, so please watch that. It will make a big difference, man. It'll make a big difference if you watch the video. I can tell you a bunch of stuff here. Simple, change things up. That's the simple word around it. Because by changing things up, you will start to discover what's working for you right now instead of what worked for you before. And a lot of people get caught in that whole cycle. You know what I'm saying? And Carmine Samo do music creation process and production. The one thing that I have a problem with is that I have earphones on and I can record the screen, but it won't record the sound of me actually playing the instruments at the same time. So I haven't figured out physically how I would do that. Yeah, I mean, I could actually have, because I don't have speakers set up, I'll have to do something different when it comes to the sound and creating the sound. Maybe I'll lapel mic myself up so I can actually record the shitty sound from the computer itself, and then you can hear the finished product after. But yeah, maybe I'll talk to you a little bit about that. Maybe I'll do that. I think some of you guys are interested in this whole creation process, because this channel is like a bodybuilding channel, but it's not really a bodybuilding channel. It's more music and dance and humor channel and vlogging channel. And the video that's going up tonight, late tonight, is a vlog of me driving through the snow and getting chicken and then working out at the gym. So just so you know, that's coming pretty soon. Calvin Unrow, when I listed supplements that I used to use and that I use sometimes, I didn't put nitric oxide. Now the thing is, there were some arginine supplements before that I really liked. There was this arginine alpha key glutarate or whatever, I can't remember exactly how it was, but it was like a timed release nitric oxide. That was really good, but I haven't really found one that I like now, and I haven't really experimented with taking supplements too often because I'm always trying to find out, okay, what is the best diet for me? I know that seems counterintuitive because some supplements can really make a difference, but NO2, yeah, Shakti Shaker, it was NO2, but it was like, there was an NO2 from a different company, and that was unbelievable. I found it was a great supplement, but yeah, I haven't been taking any sort of arginine supplements for a while. It doesn't mean they're bad. It just means that some of them are just arginine. They're not necessarily in the right form. Shakti Shaker would probably be able to tell you the right form of the time release type of NO2. But I think that that's pretty good. But yeah, I just didn't mention it because I'm not using it now. So I'm trying to kind of, for purposes of full disclosure of saying, what supplements do I use now? Quite regularly, and BCAAs are probably the only supplement that I use regularly, but I have been using some protein powder from this Pierce Naturals company, and it tastes pretty good. There's like this butterscotch cream type flavor that was pretty good. I just ran out, so I don't have any anymore. But my brother actually just talked about a collagen type protein that I might want to try because it's supposed to be good for your joints and stuff. So it's a protein made out of collagen, so I want to try that out. Yeah, I live in Harrison Hot Springs, Shred Aesthetics. I live in Harrison Hot Springs, BC, and I used to live in Maple Ridge, BC, and that's in Canada, of course. So where are you from there, Shreds? Yeah, Quantum Cola, okay, so some people are talking about Shred Aesthetics, they're talking about creatine, okay. The reason why I don't take creatine, oh, Kingston, Ontario, nice to see that. Okay, yeah, the reason why I don't take creatine is because I find that it makes me piss all the time. Honestly, I just pee all the time. And I also noticed that it helps with my upper body strength, but I retain quite a bit of water. And it doesn't help my lower body strength at all, which is something that actually was published in an article by somebody recently. And I noticed that my lower body strength and legs didn't really benefit too much from it, but my upper body did. So I think there's a different amount of creatine usage that's used in different muscles depending on their fast switch fiber content and everything. But the big thing is that I cannot tell whether I'm eating the wrong foods or not, because sometimes when okay, somebody's trolling. Okay, I'll tell you, take a look in a second. When I take creatine, sometimes I get so water retentive that I can't tell whether I'm actually losing body fat or gaining body fat from the diet that I'm eating at the time, right? So, hey Bob, how you doing? Yeah, no, I enjoyed my Christmas. Yeah, Christmas was good. It was pretty mellow though. We had some people visiting from Italy, so it was pretty mellow. We got snowed in. Okay, let me see here. I just gotta check here what's going on here. Okay, so somebody's saying, Jason, are pull-ups and chin-ups enough to be complete back workout? Do you need accessory work? Okay, chin-ups and pull-ups are not good enough for a complete back workout, just so you know. Because the traps are part of the back. They're a big part of the back, actually, and the rhomboids are part of the back, and you do use some rhomboids, and you do use some lats, but I find that chins, the way most people do chins is that they train arms. So I just had a guy troll me the other day and say, oh, Jason, you know, that range of motion on chins is just laughable. And I'm like, well, if you're thinking about chin up as far as having to have the chin over the bar, then yeah, maybe it's laughable, but that's not necessarily what's best for the back. And also other people don't understand that when I come down to here, this is as far back as my arm comes, like this. And to have the arm bent, this arm is bent all the way. If I'm like this and I'm coming up above the bar, it doesn't work. It's to bring the arms down more, to come above the bar doesn't actually access my back more. I get more bicep in it. So you have to ask yourself, why are you doing the exercise? Are you doing the exercise for back or not? So when you lean back, you get a lot more back. And I lean back and I pull to here. I can't pull really any farther than this with muscle tension. If I have to pull the bar down, I have to actually rotate and stuff, and it's just the way I'm built. Where other people, depending on how long this arm is, when they go down the same angle, then all of a sudden the bar is touching their chest, you see? So again, this bottom line, it boils down to your ratios of your joints. It's not about height, it's more about ratio of humerus to your forearm and all that kind of stuff. So you have to take these things into account. Okay, Fernando, what happens if you work out hard and you're not getting enough protein? You won't recover and you'll overtrain, and most likely you'll get injured there, Fernando. So you'll either burn off muscle, you'll overtrain, and eventually you'll get injured. That's most likely what will happen. Will I ever do a nutrition ebook? I don't know if I'm an expert enough in nutrition to really do an ebook. See, you know, I know things, but at the same time, I'm always open to the things I don't know, because, like I said, some things need to be experimented with in a laboratory of some sort, where you can say, okay, this is the one variable and everything else is a constant, and then find out whether this is the truth or not. And I would say that my body now responds differently to nutrition than it did 20 years ago. I find that it's almost like my body recovers really fast, but at the same time, I don't hold on to gains as much. So it's almost like I find whole body workouts more frequently seems to work better for me now than it used to. But that also could be because I feel I have to do more conservative rep ranges now because I feel better doing that. So as far as nutrition, I think that simple is best. I think people overcomplicate everything. And chances are, if you're feeling good and you're working out and you're feeling good and your body's looking better, then you're on the right track when it comes down to nutrition for a bodybuilder. But that doesn't mean that you couldn't have some sort of deficiencies. I'm sure I have some deficiencies and stuff, and it would be a good idea for me to get a blood test from time to time just to see what I'm deficient in, what minerals and things are not working. But as my brother and I were talking about just the other day, some tests out there for magnesium stuff deficiency, they can't even actually test properly because your blood levels of magnesium won't necessarily show what your body levels are. So, you know, saying it's a whole other complicated thing that I need to delve into. And yeah, that costs money to really do those investigations, I guess, but I'll get around to it, I guess. What's my goal for this channel? Powerplex, my goal for this channel is to make it sustainable so that it is my 100% income. And that way I get to create, continue to create music, continue to create with photography, continue to help people find their way, but at the same time, I have this channel as an entertainment / creation, as well as some information that helps people out from time to time. So that's really what I'm really looking at this. Okay, so Mr. Panda's talking about what's my thoughts on a 17-year-old taking steroids. Well, if I didn't do it, then why in the hell would I think that it would be a good fucking idea for a 17-year-old? Let me ask you that. I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but it's like, it's stupid. That's what I think it is. I think it's dumb. I think it's pretty much one of the dumbest things you can do in your life. And some guys, they get peer pressured into the shit, just like a lot of people get peer pressured into dumb decisions all their life, you know, because they don't have enough courage to be themselves. But yeah, there's going to be people out there. Like there was a guy at the other gym that I used to train at, and he's a bit of an idiot, right? This kid's an idiot. I'm not going to say his name or anything. He's just a little bit arrogant and cocky. I think we all spent a little bit of time in the cocky place when we're young men. But he became a drug dealer, started doing juice, put on 40 or 50 pounds right away, all bloated, looks like shit, acne everywhere. But because you're pretty much immortal when you're 17, 18 years old, nothing really affects you. You're usually about 4 or 5 years away from seeing the results of your fatal mistakes. Yeah, they don't learn anything. So usually they're 30 by the time their life crushes them, and then they're in AA or whatever else they have to go to deal with their mistakes. And then, of course, you see the odd guy that can get away with making mistakes for 20 years and nothing happens to him. But you know what? Life is longer than people think. It's not quite so short. People think that, oh yeah, 20 to 30, life's over. No, man. When you're 40, there's a whole other 40 years now of horrible suffering that can befall you, that if you don't take care of your health in the early years, this is when life can become extremely difficult. And a lot of younger people are sheltered from that because they don't understand what can happen to the physical body. And they don't really care about consequences because they're living right now and they're like, whatever, there's no repercussion. Because let's face it, the younger generation, a lot of the guys have been raised with no repercussion. They can do whatever they want and there's no punishment. The parents are disabled, you know, disempowered. The government comes in, oh, you can't spank your kids, you can't tell them what to do. And they're like, I will take away your iPhone if you don't listen to me. And, you know, the kid stays up all night going to a rave or doing whatever. So I don't know what, I would not want to be a parent in this day and age. That's all I can say, because it's pretty rough for the parents out there. But life will teach everybody, you know. Parents were only here to help us, you know, that's really it. And some of us have good parents and some of us have medium parents. But what they're supposed to help you with is to avoid making the big mistakes. And I think that because a lot of parents have been disempowered, a lot of people are making some pretty big mistakes and they're not really seeing the consequence until it's too late in a lot of cases. So I've seen some firsthand things that have happened with people around me that I was quite close to that had some pretty lackadaisical parents around them, and I saw what they ended up getting into, and it was quite extreme, to tell you the truth. And some of these mistakes they could not come back from. So yeah, that's my rant on that. So sorry, I went away from bodybuilding a bit, but it is in alignment with that. It's all about repercussions, right? All right there, Mapleberry Farm. Take care, buddy. Okay, Jason V, would you get noob gains in your legs at age 30 if you haven't trained them before? I think so. I think so. Yeah, 30 isn't old. I'm going to tell you right now, 30 isn't old. Like, some guys are actually coming into their own at 30 when they're in their career. They're actually finally getting to a pretty good place. So I think 30, you're fine. Yeah, you're going to get some noob gains for sure. Okay, so Benjamin, I think that's your name. Sorry if I'm reading that hieroglyphic wrong or whatever you got there. How do you decide when to increase your food intake for constant gain, since I use the portion method? You know what, I honestly, I boil it down to simplicity, to tell you the truth. I just have food there and I just eat. And I eat every 2 or 3 hours, that's it. I eat brown rice and chicken, and then I'll eat some steak, or then I'll eat, you know what? Some of you guys out there were asking me about convenient protein. Convenient protein is sardines. I'm telling you, I'll have a can of sardines, some rice, and I'll throw a little bit of that peanut sauce on there, that Saigon peanut sauce. It tastes good enough, and I'll just throw that back. So, yeah, it's not about overindulging. You don't have to kill yourself by eating too much and putting on massive amounts of body fat, but you need to eat enough that you're not feeling like you're hungry. That's for sure. You don't ever want to be hungry. If you're trying to put on muscle, you never want to be hungry. You always want to be feeding your body carbs and protein, put them together, that helps stabilize the blood sugar. If you're more of a fat and protein type person, well, then do that. Do that, 5-6 times a day. And if you notice that your body's starting to lose weight and you're not recovering, then that means you need to increase your sleep or increase your food. And then you just start working with that. Okay. Mr. Panda, I don't know what you're saying there. I don't know if you're trolling or what, but yeah, people have died from using stuff. It's not like that's kind of a stupid comment. I'm not going to say you're stupid, but the comment is, so you might be joking here. But the fact is that if you take poison, and just because you do not die instantaneously from it within about 30 seconds, it doesn't mean that that poison didn't contribute to your death 10 years down the road. You understand? So people will do like some drug for 2 or 3 years, and they're like, oh, the guy just suddenly dies of a heart attack. Well, that drug that he was taking was messing his kidneys up and messing his heart up, and then he dies. That means the drug actually did it. It doesn't mean that he has to die within 5 seconds in order for it to be causing that, right? Okay. Cody BMX, is this an Islam fellowship? I don't understand what you're talking about. See Quanto Cola? Okay. Mr. Panda, Do you understand what happens when a heart has a condition? If a heart has a condition, then it leads to a heart attack, and heart attacks do kill. So what are you saying? That's like saying, when I fall down the stairs, that can't kill me because the first step didn't kill me. Do you understand? Like, your logic is really flawed here, Mr. Panda. Alex Mercer, watch my channel more often, watch my vlogs and stuff, and you'll see that I very rarely do a bro split. I do believe in higher frequency training, and full body workouts are in alignment with that. So I do that. What are my thoughts on intermittent fasting or 1 hour a day eating periods? I think they're dumb, Jacob. I would never do it. I think if you're extremely overweight, maybe anything that works is good. But yeah, intermittent fasting, like not eating all day and everything and then eating, it would just mess me up. Arrest Cosmos, if he's talking about test boosters like herbs and things, if an herb helps your body's own production, then I would say that's fine. And it's not banned in your natural bodybuilding circles and stuff, then it's fine. But if something converts to the actual hormone in your system, that's when it's considered not natural. So that's the difference. But I don't take any of those things either. I never find anything. But there are Trigulus terrestris and stuff out there that's supposed to help your body's production of luteinizing hormone, which is supposed to help with having a healthy hormone system. So that's not classified as unnatural. But yeah, you could experiment with that stuff if you want. Lone platypus. I have a video of what supplements do I take. I change from time to time, but most of the time BCAAs and whey protein from time to time. But that's about it. Sometimes glutamine and things, but I don't take too many other supplements. But I might start. You know, I've heard there's some good things about beta alanine and a few other ones that I haven't really experimented with. So. Yeah, Ruthless Bone, I feel you, right, about chicken. You know, I barbecue, like you see me maybe in some of my day in the life videos where I'm barbecuing a bunch of chicken and I'm living on chicken, but that's why I throw in the sardines. The sardines from time to time, I know it sounds disgusting, but sardines have some minerals in there because they have bones and everything, and they have some good fats as well as a high amount of protein. I will eat some cod livers from time to time, which are full of fat and everything, but they have a lot of other minerals and stuff in there, so I'll replenish myself up with that on my higher fat day. And then I will eat some steak from time to time, and of course some sushi or fish. So cod fish is really good, and I like to eat sushi like tuna fish and stuff. So, but cook the cod. Don't eat it like sushi, but you have to cook the cod. Yeah, okay, lone platypus, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, living off sirloin once in a while. Yeah, and then sometimes you got to do that, right? Sometimes you got to change it up because it does get a little bit shitty when you're sticking with the same thing. Sometimes, you know, learning how to spice things up differently too. Sometimes having a different type of sauce or a hot sauce or something might actually help break things up as well. But it is good to change your protein sources up, I think. Arrest Cosmos, do I think mental illness is real like the majority of them? I think, yeah, I think that there's such thing as mental illness, but illness doesn't mean incureness, you know what I'm saying? Just because something is an illness doesn't mean it's uncurable, but there are certain circumstances, I think, that are harder to cure than others, and I think there are certain physical realities, sometimes based around that, right? Brain injuries and all these things that also will play a factor, right? I'm losing my battery here on my phone, I think. Turkey's good too, though, Chase. Yeah, turkey's great. Okay, let me just plug my phone in. I just got to get the plug in, okay? Just stay. Don't go anywhere, guys. I just got to plug my phone in. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, somebody's trolling here, so I'm going to... Okay, sorry guys. All right, so this is complicated, plugging this stuff in. Complicated stuff going on here. Okay, so, okay, is the Sasquatch real? You know, the funny thing is, I think the Sasquatch could be real. I'm not saying for sure not, but I think it's a very strong possibility. I mean, a lot of native cultures were talking about it for a long time, about the furry man in the woods and all this. So, hey, I think there's a possibility. You never know. Okay, Kakarot, I'll bring back that walk at the end. I'll just walk in a different forest. We'll see. And yes, Jason V, there is fishing up here. I haven't done it myself too much, but Shred Aesthetics, have I ever gotten a fight? Okay, let me see if I can show you this stuff. Can you see this? That's a fight. I don't know if you can see the scar here. Well, you can see the bone up there. That was a fight. Yeah, I got lots of fights. When I was younger, I got lots of fights. That's how I became a meditation teacher. I started to learn that, you know, no matter how much battling you do, it doesn't mean that you're still free of suffering, you know what I'm saying? So in the end, you have to battle with the self. You have to learn where's happiness, and sometimes battle's still necessary. There's a reason why those monks were learning Kung Fu, you know what I'm saying? But yes, have I had battles? Yes, I have had battles, yep. It has happened. Okay, I'm going to try to, okay, I'm going to get rid of a couple guys here. Okay, there, you just got rid of somebody here. Okay, so anyway, does that mean, I'm not sure aesthetics, okay, so you asked me a question, have I ever gotten in a fight? So that doesn't mean I want to get in fights. It doesn't mean it's a better way of life or anything, but that was, you know, when I was younger, when I started training, the whole reason why I started training, you could actually watch the video why I decided to lift weights and stuff. In high school, I had a lot of, I guess you could say there was a lot of mental, emotional bullying that went on in our school. There was the popular kids and not so popular, and yeah, sometimes fighting was pretty much the only way you could kind of get out from under the tyranny of the royalty that was in the school. And outside of it, sometimes you just end up in gang territory in the wrong place and you end up in a fight. So not that I grew up in a really bad place, but sometimes you just go to a different school and or a different area, and then the guys would be just like, oh, there's nothing else to do on a Friday night, let's fight these guys because they're from a different town. So that's it. Stan Cormy, can I do martial arts? I did karate for a long period of time, but I haven't done a lot of that stuff now because dislocating shoulder, I don't want to be throwing my arm around all weird anyway. So yeah, I don't really do anything like that anymore. Calvin, some of the fights were before working out, but most of them were after, actually. Yeah. Yeah, you know what, Ruthless Bone? Mine was Van Damme. I loved Van Damme too as a kid. That's who was my hero. I loved his stuff. I loved Chuck Norris too. When I was really young, Chuck Norris was really fun to watch too. His old movies were really awesome. So, and I love these memes on Chuck Norris now. He's pretty awesome. Alex Mercer, do I do a stretching routine? I don't necessarily do a routine, but I do stretch from time to time, and I do a lot of self-massage with that. If you watch my video, how I increase my bench press in 20 minutes, you'll see this little wooden triangle thing that I use in order to actually work out muscle knots in the body. But yeah, I do stretch. I do the splits in different directions, or try to, you know, like front and side splits and everything. And I do stretch out the quads and the hips and the hip flexors and things. So yeah, I do that. Can you make decent lean gains past 40? I think there's a possibility that you can make some, but it's one of those things where it isn't the age as much as it is the mileage. Like I said, like my dislocating shoulder and stuff, and the rotator cuff tear on this side from hockey, and the bicep tear from the chiropractor. Like a lot of these things that happen outside the gym play a role in how my training is now. It's not necessarily about age just being the factor. It's sometimes the mileage. You know what I'm saying? So. Some of us have more mileage than others, depending on what we did in sports. Sports, especially the high velocity sports, can play a big role in how your body functions after that sport is done. So these are things to take into account, right? But yeah, you can make gains. I do believe you can make gains. Yeah. Yeah, Shred Aesthetics. There's lots of guys that lie and shit, but it's. I'd say there's a lot of guys that are actually more honest too. Like there's a ton of them, but they get kind of pushed under the mat because negativity. If you look at the channels that are really thriving on YouTube. Look at them. Look at some of the channels that just thrive on negativity and that's it. And they get popular really fast. I mean, I'm not even going to mention the names because I don't want to bring down the harbinger of hell upon me, but there's a lot of guys out there that all they do is slander other channels and other people. And they make the best sort of subscribership. They get popular right away and everything. So there's this glorification of negativity on the internet that's making it seem to you that everybody's negative and everybody's lying and everybody's this and that, when that's not the truth. There are some people, but there are also a lot of people that are truly drug-free bodybuilders that look unbelievable. And I've been around a lot of them. So the fact is that don't let people tell you that you can't be 200 pounds at 5'8" like I am or whatever and be 10% body fat. That's impossible. That's a bunch of bullshit. A guy that is an unnatural guy at the same level I'm at, I was at international top 3 natural universe level, okay? When I got on stage, top 3, a guy at that level in the unnatural round would have been 260, 250, 240, like way bigger than I was at natural. So I think there's this weird sort of measuring system that they got going on in the internet, and it's very much about underachievement. They're saying a natty can't even look good. So I think a lot of these guys are trying to justify their own drug addiction, and they're trying to justify their own life choices, which they may feel guilty about. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on in their mind, but there's something else going on there where they want everybody to believe that a guy that looks half decent can't be natural, right? Okay, let's turn my phone battery here. Gotta plug this in. There we go. Okay. Yeah, there's some justification going in it, and at the same time, there's this other thing where they are not happy with themselves, and anyway, it's just too big of a conversation to get into. It just depends on the person, but the thing is that people really know themselves, and they say when you know thyself, you know everyone else. And when you're a natural bodybuilder and you know what you could achieve, then it's really easy for you. It's really easy for you to understand what other people could achieve. Because I'm saying I'm not the best bodybuilder there ever has been. I'm not the best natural guy in the world. So if a guy looks better than me and say he gets 5 pounds, 10 pounds heavier than me or something like that, I'm not thinking, oh, that guy is unnatural because he looks better than me, right? Because I'm using logic. But unfortunately, there's a lack of logic on the internet these days, and I don't know why. So sorry, I'm just messing this thing up here because this phone is having a hard time sticking here. Okay. Well, Christian Guzman is pretty small. I don't think that there's Ruthless. I don't know why anybody would actually think that he might not be natural. I mean, maybe I don't know, but he's a pretty small guy. I don't think there's anything there that looks like, oh my God, he's so big. Like, I think I'm about twice the size of him. I don't even know, But anyway, my favorite bodybuilder of all time. I did love the way Arnold Schwarzenegger's physique looked. Personality-wise, probably wouldn't like him too much, but I really liked his physique. And in all fairness, I only got a chance to meet him for 5 minutes, and he wasn't on his best that day, so that could happen to anybody, I think. But yeah, Harut J, just because someone isn't big doesn't mean they aren't cheating. Yes, of course. But what I'm saying is that, yeah, I wouldn't suspect somebody if they're, look like they look okay in a t-shirt. I mean, that doesn't, I met Arnold Schwarzenegger, yes. Yeah, when he looked great in Predator. He looked unreal in Predator. I really like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Frank Rodriguez, he says, he noticed that some people make symmetrical gains and they have the best results. They really didn't get that big, but it gives them that appearance. Yeah, a lot of times people are underestimating genetics, right? Genetics, like the way your shape is and stuff, will make a difference. And also how much body fat percentage you have. Like for instance, like if I diet down, there'll be way more comments about, oh, you're not natural and all this kind of stuff, because people think that lean and big are the same thing. So especially on this Instagram and YouTube age, and the movies and stuff. Like Sylvester Stallone was never really a big dude, but he was ripped in his movies. So it gave him that appearance of looking much bigger than he was. So it's about being lean in a photograph. It's about being lean on YouTube. And when you're shredded, you look way bigger because everything becomes balloony. You know what I'm saying? You get the groove and the fat leaves in between here. So it makes everything look more round and stuff too. So that makes a big difference. Okay, shred aesthetics. I don't want to speak negatively about people that are dead, but obviously I don't believe in his lifestyle choices. I mean, So he's talking to me about somebody that died. So anyway, okay. Phil Heath versus Big Ramy. Well, I mean, I think Phil Heath looks much more symmetrical, but Big Ramy just destroys him in size and stuff. So it's not even a contest when it comes down to that. Yeah. Okay, Alex Mercer, do I have a role model? I don't really have any role models anymore when it comes down to bodybuilding. I really don't. I just basically enjoy the process and say, you know, how can I improve myself based on the limitations that I am experiencing in this moment, just like you all are. And my role models really aren't on the physical plane anymore. You know, based on the other work that I've done with meditation and things, I'm not looking to be somebody specifically, but I do love a lot of people. So I'm not saying that I don't have you know, an affinity for certain people and enjoy their own unique expressions of themselves, you know? Okay, so somebody says, yeah, okay, Boarded Albatross, you're saying that slander that I talked to, speaking of slander, you read this bullshit about me using something or whatever in the past, and okay, so again, Bearded Albatross, that was a bullshit rumor made up about me, and that was never anything that was on my website. That's just somebody making up shit on a website. Now, the thing is that, first of all, anybody can open up a website and name it something. Even if I don't own the website, you could start jasongallant.shit if you want, right? And then just put anything on there just to use my image. You could put my image on there illegally, by the way, and then basically start to say whatever it is you want and pretend to be me. So I don't know if somebody did that or not, but I didn't fucking do it. I had my own website back in the day, and then what happened was there was a period of time where I couldn't renew my website because I didn't have a way of making money off that website, so it wasn't worth it for me to keep sustaining that website. So I got rid of it. So basically what that meant was somebody else could have picked up jasongallant.com, and years later when I tried to get jasongallant.com, what happened was there was a jasongallant.com that was taken, and people, like a business person, took this website and said, oh, people are looking up Jason Gallant on the internet. Okay, I'm going to get this website. So they bought this website, called it jasongallant.com, and then all they did was have ads for supplements and different gym equipment and all this shit on there. So I don't know if they did something else on there or put something else on there. I have no idea. But the fact is that I never had a website with any of that shit on there, and I've never done any of that stuff. So there's no reason for me to put something like that up on the internet. So I hope that meets your approval. But the fact is that I don't know what your name is, but let's come up with your name. And I just basically say, okay, I'm going to registeryourname.com and then just put up a bunch of slanderous shit about you. I'll write a diary about how you basically murdered children in some country somewhere and all this. And then somebody on Reddit about 10 years from now might say, oh yeah, there was a website and this guy said he admitted he was a murderer, right? But the fact is it wasn't you. It's just somebody else buying the website and creating a .com. You know what I'm saying? So this might have happened, although I don't think it did. I think somebody's just making up stuff because they're pissed off at one of the arguments that I might have had with them on this channel. That's probably what happened there. I just want to see your name here. Let's go back. So Bearded Albatross, okay? So do you understand Bearded Albatross? Are you understand what I'm saying here? So basically the thing is that you're saying that I definitely did not look natural back then. Well, guess what? I'm fucking natural now, and I'm natural then. The difference is I don't have a fucking tan right now, and my legs aren't shaved, and I'm not dieted down to contest condition. But my physique is actually bigger than it was back then in some areas. My back development is actually better, right? So it's funny that you say I don't look natural. Well, that's because you're judging a picture based on a professional photographer taking the picture, and at the same time of me being in contest shape or close to contest shape at that time. So these are other things that you need to also take into account. You cannot just look at a picture and say, oh, yo, you're not natural. I was still 200 fucking pounds or 195 pounds then. And now I'm 205 pounds. So what are you saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to use some logic here, man. And the thing is, Kakarot, you're saying, I look so damn awesome, the shot in front of my car. That shot in front of my car, I had Pro-Tan on the day after a contest. And I'm actually bigger than I was then. Now, I'm bigger now than I was then, and I'm just as lean pretty much. I'm pretty close. I'm not much far off. It's just that people look at a tan first rather than the actual condition and shape of the muscle, right? So this is the thing. Okay, the thing is that, look, no, the thing is, again, these are all these bullshit things on the internet. They talk about the FFMI bullshit and stuff like this. Look, the thing is that this arm right here, I mean, it's just as big as before. The difference is this shoulder dislocates. So it actually pulls out a little bit. So basically the arm is the same size. It's just that it gives a different appearance because now the shoulder doesn't sit the same. Because the more an arm is pulled in, the more this arm becomes a ball, okay? So there are different optical illusions that are created, but it's not because my size is less. Look at these fucking arms, man. I mean, this is not less than back then. It's not. These are 18 and a quarter almost. It's the same. It's just that there's that appearance of being on stage or being tanned up with Pro-Tan and stuff that gives you this illusion, right? So people they have these, it's almost like some sort of subconscious tan worship going on, you know? And then they're like, oh, you don't look natural. It's like, no, man, I'm telling you, if I just diet down for 6 weeks, if it was ever fucking worth it for me to do it, I would diet down, shave down, and then, you know, just do poses and you'd be like, oh, wow, Jason, you look great. It's like, it's not necessarily as impressive as people say. I mean, the muscles are impressive. I'm not trying to, you know, slander myself here, but what I'm trying to say is that when you have your shirt off and you are pro-tanned up, and you are dieted down, like the day after a contest, you do have a different size look because you're leaner. So when you're leaner, that really gives that appearance of overall size. And that's why bodybuilders lean down for contests, because they look better, they look more balloony, they look more shapely and all this kind of stuff. So leanness helps you look bigger. You can be 10 pounds lighter and you'll look 10 times bigger. So this is why a lot of these little runts on YouTube are making a great living, because they're like, look how big I am. And they're not big at all. I mean, if you meet them in person, some of them it's like laughable, okay? And some of them look unbelievable too. But what I'm saying is that there is that illusion that's created from being lean. And you're right, Lone Platypus. Drugs have ruined the hard work that a lot of naturals put in, and that's why it used to piss me off when I'd see guys that weren't natural. It wasn't because I didn't like them as human beings, but because they were belittling and pissing on everything that I had ever done and created. Like I had women and people coming up to me when I was leaving a coffee shop and say, oh, you must be on drugs. And this and that. It's like, what are you talking about? I've been training for 10 years straight, 5-6 days a week, paying attention to my diet, and then you're just going to say I did nothing and I just basically cheated for a couple months to look like this. And I knew guys that did. I knew guys that did cheat. And I would basically watch them outgrow me within about 3 or 4 months. They would look better than I ever did. And they do it all within 2, 3, 4 months. And they're drinking tequila shooters at the same time. And then everybody like, wow, asking this person for training advice. Meanwhile, I was the guy that put in 10 years naturally, right? So yeah, that used to piss me off quite a bit back in the day. Now I don't care. But at the same time, it's something that I have to argue with a lot of people to explain how real muscle is built, right? Sergey Duncan, what do I think of 5x5 program for strength building? I think it's a way of doing it for sure. Who wrote 5'8", 200 pounds? Yeah, you know what? 5'8", 200 pounds, I know it's crazy how much underachievers are in this society now. It's just laughable, you guys. You guys just limit yourself so much. It's crazy how much you've done this. I don't know how you guys got justified into thinking that you can't achieve anything, you know? Now, I'm not saying that everybody needs to get 200 pounds at 5'8", 10%. I'm not saying everybody needs to do that. I'm saying that you can achieve a lot of stuff, but a lot of people will look at something that you put 24/7 effort into for 10 years, and then watch what you achieved after the end of 10 years, and they'll say, oh, what you achieved is impossible, you must have cheated. Kind of like a guy that saves up and scrimps all his money, and then 10 years from there, he becomes a millionaire, or he can buy his first house, and then somehow there's some money he makes from some sort of real estate deal or something, and people are like, oh, he must have been a criminal, that's how he made his money. No, it's where your priority is. And I'm not saying your priority needs to be in training. I say your priority needs to be in happiness first, 100%. Happiness, fulfillment, 100% first. Training can be one part of that picture.
But don't be so quick to judge people that have made a different priority, their 100% reason for living, and then they achieve something different than you do. That's all I'm saying, right? The thing is, I've been at this for 30 years now, and even when I was playing hockey a lot, I was training still. It's just that my hockey was taking up most of my energy, so I wasn't training as hard, right? So say I was supposed to do a 10-set squat workout. Well, I was doing a 5-set squat workout to conserve my legs for the hockey game the next day. So for 10 years, I was doing that because hockey became my first and foremost passion. If I would have kept training, I actually would have got bigger. I was actually at my peak in 2006, I would say. 2006, I was 212 pounds at around 10% body fat. So that's the thing. I looked my best then. And my brother was like, holy fuck, Jason, you look big. Like, it's just one of those things where if you have the right genetics and you put in the right time and priority, then you will achieve things, and people will not believe you when you say, I did this the natural way, because they're like, oh, well, that I never achieved that. And I've been training twice a week for 3 weeks, right? So, yes, I can do heavy military press on my dislocated shoulder, yeah. Okay, Fernando already was saying he read in meta-analysis that you have to use the most amount of motor units, firing muscle fibers, you have to lift. Okay, so in order to use the most amount of muscle fibers, you have to lift in the 5 to 8 rep range. Okay, so Fernando, I think you could be right there. I think, yes, to fire, and I do 5 to 8 reps here and there, but I do also think that it's easy to injure yourself in that range as well, okay? So you have to play, or take into account, sorry, what is going on with your muscles, what's going on with your joints, what's going on with the exercise frequency. And the fact is that when you are putting too much tension on the muscles, you can tear or pull things. So I change my rep ranges based on that. Like, say for instance, flat dumbbell press, I find is more dangerous on my pecs than say barbell bench. So with flat dumbbell press, you'll never see me do a 5 rep set on flat dumbbell press. I'll stay with 10 to 15 reps or 20 reps. That's why you see my rep ranges are different, because I find that sometimes your muscles feel more fragile than others, and you don't want to overkill it and pull something or tear something. So this also boils down to the frequency I like to do. I like to have a higher amount of frequency in my training, so this dictates my rep ranges as well. So my rep ranges will be higher to compensate for that higher frequency, okay? Now, if I was only training a muscle group once a week, maybe my rep ranges would be a little bit lower, but I've played with that and done that and found that I didn't get as good results as me pounding the muscle a little bit more often. So that's why I made the 2-day split training program on my naturalgallantbodybuilding.com site. I've done a whole body workout program on there. This is what I believe in mostly, although I'm open to people having different types of genetics. Let's just put it this way. So some of them are more effective for certain training programs than others. So that's why you have to experiment a bit. Okay, so I'm just getting rid of somebody here. I don't practice the vacuum pose, no. Calisthenics are awesome. I think they're okay. I mean, for building muscle, maybe not the best, but it depends on how heavy you are and where your strength's at and everything. Okay, let me just turn the heat up in here. Oh yeah, this is a sweater too, guys. You haven't seen this yet. This is the Gallant of the Galaxy sweater. And yeah, this is the light zip-up hoodie. And so this is something you can get on my website, naturalgallantbodybuilding.com, and the link will be down below. So if you guys need this, it's pretty great. Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. You're back. I thought you were going to work. What's going on with that? Okay, flying and invisibility, which would I pick? I don't know, man. That's a tough choice. I think they're both pretty good. Okay, James H. Is soreness required for muscle growth? I'd say soreness or a little bit of tightness or something, but it doesn't necessarily mean soreness itself, because depending on the muscle fiber content will depend on what type of experience you have after you train the muscle. Oh, you never said work. Okay, sorry. Okay. Okay, how long should you try a workout regime until finding what works for you? I'd say a couple weeks. 2 weeks to 3 weeks, and then you should notice something, like maybe you feel better, maybe your strength doesn't go up, or maybe your endurance doesn't go up, but there's something different. that goes on. So, yeah. Dexter Jackson, Ronnie Coleman, or Jay Cutler? Ronnie Coleman, he was king. I mean, obviously. I mean, although Jay Cutler is awesome, but I always was surprised at how light Jay Cutler trains when it comes down to most of his body parts. And Dexter Jackson is a machine worshiper. He worships the machine so much, which makes sense because that guy's been able to train forever and go injury free. So I'd say, did he train smarter? Well, look who's training now. Ronnie Coleman's going to get a surgery. I just saw on Instagram that he's going to get his rib cage taken out to do a back surgery because he has so much scar tissue on the back that they can't go in. I'm like, holy crap, what a traumatic surgery to have to go through. So I would say, yeah, Jay Cutler and you know, Dexter are still going strong. So they must have maybe not pushed themselves quite so hard as Ronnie. And Ronnie looked great at a certain time, but obviously it wasn't good for his body, which is why I say doing these massive 1 rep maxes and 3 rep maxes and stuff, they will kill you. I mean, I had somebody say to me a dumb comment the other day. I mean, I should be doing this on Stupid Comment Saturday, but they're a nice person, so I don't want to attack them really. But the bottom line is they just said that, well, look at powerlifters. They touch their chest when they bench press and they lock out when they do bench press, you know, so that must be the right way because powerlifters do it. Well, who the hell ever said that powerlifting was the best way for longevity? You know, just like Olympic lifting. Nobody said Olympic lifting was the best way for your body's longevity to continue to be able to train, right? And that's what I'm teaching on here is saying what can you maintain and continue to be able to do well into your elder years, right? And gain muscle from it. So I'm trying to use the joints in the most efficient way. It's not that I'm not training the joints. The joints are already getting trained. But do you want to primarily train the joints or do you want to train them in direct proportion to the muscles, right? That's the difference. So yeah, that said, Ronnie Coleman was unbelievable. So big, so strong, but at the same time, yeah, his body's a disaster now. It's too bad to see because he seems like a real nice guy too. Okay, so CD Moonfire. Hey, Jason, should natural be worried about pec tears? Heard it only happens to guys on juice. Well, no, it actually does happen to guys that are natural too. Okay, so let me explain something to you, CD Moonfire, and hopefully the rest of you guys learn something from this. This is another reason why I'm careful with bench press and stuff. Okay, when you have a labral tear in the shoulder and the shoulder is unstable and it can move forward and back, that will play more of a contributing factor to pulls like muscle pulls and tendons. Just like if you get a guy that has an unstable knee, there's more of a chance of him tearing a hamstring when he's running or sprinting. And we see this happen with sprinters all the time, or football players, or even, you know, natural high school students, stuff, you know, people pull or tear muscles because they're running or sprinting and they're too cold and they're using the power muscles too quickly or explosively, right? So can you tear a muscle? Yes, you can, especially if there's instability in the joint. So say you have a torn rotator cuff muscle and this shoulder isn't stabilized enough and then the pec gets pulled funny and then slips at the same time, that can also contribute to that. So yes, natural bodybuilders are not impervious to tears. It's just that it happens more often to the unnatural guys because there's such a strength difference that happens at such a fast rate. So I think that the tendons and everything and the homeostasis in the area doesn't get a chance to stabilize. The other thing is that some of those drugs work as anti-inflammatories. So because of that, they sometimes don't get the inflammation needed in order for tendons and ligaments to heal, although their muscles are healing at a faster rate. So this may also be playing a role, right? One working set for naturals, what's my opinion? I say that's absolute crap. So, at least for me, I mean, there might be somebody out there that one working set is enough. That's all I'm saying. I'm all about diversity and there's different genetics, but for most people that I know, one set would never be enough. Mark Simmons, have I ever dealt with forearm pain when curling heavy? Not too often, barely ever really. It's only if I have a little bit of a muscle knot in here and then I just massage it out and then it's all fine. You might have like just a muscle knot issue going on there, Mark. So just check that out, get some massage on it or learn how to do some self-massage. You'll probably actually fix it. So CD Moonfire, does that help you out a little bit? So you're right when it comes down to people getting strength really fast, then they have susceptibility to tears, but that's not the only factor. An unstable joint will be the major factor around a muscle tear. And that can happen with natural guys just as easily as unnatural. And I noticed that because my shoulder's unstable, my right one, and then also I have the torn rotator cuff here from the hockey getting hit funny. These are two factors that I do have to be careful with to make sure I don't tear something, because I'm saying I got to warm this area up and use conservative weights, and that's why sometimes my rep range is a little bit higher too. But I get a good workout, right? So yeah, you gotta take all these factors into account. There's this oversimplification on the internet. Like everybody wants one rule for something, but it only takes in one factor, but they're not taking in the whole kaleidoscope of things that are going on. So that's why there's this oversimplification. It's almost like a baby's view of the world where they're saying, oh, this, and it means that, right? It's like, I don't know, it's like something has wings, that means it should fly, you know? Well, try throwing an ostrich off a cliff and see what happens, right? That was pretty clever. High rep band stuff with strengthened connective tissue. I'm not saying it'll strengthen connective tissue, James. It strengthens the muscles under a different torque curve, and it depends what muscles you're strengthening. But yeah, you can use bands to strengthen up the rotator cuff and everything. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, so Kakarot, if you're not getting triceps in rope pushdowns, I would recommend pulling the shoulders back and then doing the press down. But get your shoulders stabilized. See, one thing I've noticed, especially now that I have unstable shoulders from, you know, the hockey injuries, I've noticed that there's this other factor now that I have to take into account when I'm doing tricep press downs. And if my shoulders are going just a little bit forward, a little bit back, it almost takes some of the stress off the tricep, and then my shoulder starts to come into play more. So stabilize your shoulders, keep them back and down, and keep them just strict, and then do the tricep press downs, or get them in a real stable position where they don't move, and that will help. And in my training vlog that I'm going to be putting up, I'll show you another exercise, and I have the incline bench and stuff, and you see the rope coming down. This might actually help you as well hit the triceps. So make sure you check in my vlog that's coming up. I might put it up tonight or tomorrow morning. We'll see. Okay? So check that out. I think you're going to get a lot from that. What's my favorite back movement? It changes. It depends on how lazy I am. But I'd say bent over dumbbell rows are my favorite back movement for actually feeling the lats, because I can bring my hands just a little bit like this, and I can actually feel the lats just contract so well. That would probably be most of the time my favorite movement. But it does take quite a bit of energy. Sometimes lifting those dumbbells off the rack and everything. So sometimes I like to just sit in the machine and just do the seated rows. You'll see me do one of the versions of that tonight in the vlog as well. Nice, Kakarot. Yeah, the bent over dumbbell row is awesome for back, honestly, because it really forces you to pull the shoulders back like this. That is everything to do with back, right? People really underestimate that. Okay, how to engage the lats. Okay, power plex. If you want to engage the lats, bring your elbows in more a little bit, and then elbows down, shoulders down and elbows in a little bit, and see if that helps. You may get more rear delt, but if you don't try to pull too far back and just pull like this, you'll get a lot of lat. If you start trying to pull too far back, you're going to get more delt. So try doing that, you know, rubbing the dumbbells up and down the sides of the legs, or pulling right to the lower waist. And you don't have to actually pull right to the waist itself as far as touching the bar to your waist. Just pull to where you feel the shoulders come back like this and the chest out, and you'll notice that you'll get a lot more back work from that. Everybody can hear me pretty good, right? You guys can hear me pretty good? Isometric training, I don't do too much of that, no. Okay, Alex Mercer, you might, if you're training chest and you're feeling triceps, you might actually have to widen your grip a bit, and you might have to bring your elbows in a little bit. You know, it's up to you, but you might have to just adjust your grip, because if you're too narrow, you're going to be doing this, right? And you might bring the elbows in and doing this. A lot of guys use a pretty narrow grip on bench. So try widening it up a little bit, but still keep the elbows in a bit to keep the stress off the pec tendon, and see if that helps. And pull the shoulders down. Any tips on getting cheap meat? Yeah, that's tricky, you know. Cheap meat sometimes means poisonous meat, you know. So, but you know, tuna is cheap. Canned tuna and canned fish. And like I said, sardines, they're not that expensive, not super expensive anyway. And I think they're a great source of minerals and stuff too. So I think that might be a good idea. But otherwise, I don't really like the boxed chicken breasts where they pump full of water in that saline solution and stuff. I don't really like that too much. But you can eat that. That's cheaper meat than getting it packaged fresh or anything, that's for sure. Nature Boy, behind the neck presses are great as long as you don't go too low for you. I find right to this knob on the back of my head because I'm kind of an alien or something like that, but that's where I bring the bar. If I bring it down too low, then you're gonna pop the shoulder out or do some damage to yourself. So I would say always stick to reps of 15 to 30, and this is a general rule. It'll be different for each person, but as a safety rule, that's what I would do, because when you lose control of the weight and the arm is back like this, you could pop your shoulder out. And I know 2 guys that did this to themselves because they were relying on a spot that did not work out well, and they actually popped their shoulders out and they had a permanent injury the rest of their life. So that's something to be afraid of here, and be careful with, right? Cool, Kakarot. Yeah, we must be brothers. Hey. Drew Garten, how often do I actually change my body parts up? If you look at my routine on my website, like the workout programs, if you buy one or whatever, hint, hint, no. But if you buy a program, then you'll notice that I change the exercise up quite a bit. But I have my favorites. Like, I go through stages where sometimes I'll stick to 1 or 2 exercises for a period of time, and then I'll change it up and then try something else new for a period of time. It's almost like I do these little mini experiments of seeing which exercise is my favorite and which one isn't. And yeah, I changed up. So I'd say you could start with a new exercise each time you train if you're doing a 2-day split. That's what I would recommend. That's probably the best thing to do, is to say, okay, one time I'm doing bent over rows for back, next day I'm doing pull downs, next day I'm doing chins, then I'm doing rack deadlifts or something, But I change it up every time you go in there, and you could rotate only 2 or 3 different exercises, but I usually rotate my 2 or 3 favorite ones, and then I'll throw in the variable exercise from time to time, or just try something new. Which exercises do I use 5 to 8 rep range? The ones that I use 5 to 8 rep range on would be ones that are not isometrics, or not isometrics, sorry. This is the problem with live stuff, I can't edit this stuff. Not isolations, sorry. Isolations, I would not recommend 5 to 8 reps. I think that is dangerous for isolation movements. But 5 to 8 on a compound exercise like bench press, I think is something that is okay from time to time, not all the time, but that would be something I do from time to time. You could do a bent over row for that, I think, safely. But whenever you're doing squats and stuff, I find with squats and deadlifts, once you get into 5 to 8 reps for failure, it becomes more dangerous because there's so much lower back involved and so much movement of the lower back and so much stuff can go wrong. It's not like I'm against it, but at the same time, it definitely comes with a higher amount of risk, and that's why you don't see me do that rep range too often. Right? Okay, Joey Pinelli, how do you keep from putting too much stress on the lumbar when squatting? The thing is, it's unavoidable. You could try low bar squats, and sometimes that puts a little bit less stress because the center of gravity is different. It also depends on how you squat. Some people bring their knees heavily over their toes and they squat like an Olympic lifter, and they don't notice as much lower back stress. But at the same time, their knees are going to hit the ceiling if they don't have the genetics for that type of form, right? And I don't. I have these really long femurs, so I have to bend over quite a bit when I squat. And I do high bars because I do notice my quads more, but low bar is definitely easier on the back with the same amount of weight. I notice my lower back doesn't get hurt as much. Okay, and what I mean by hurt is that it doesn't seem to take as much pressure. So is there a way of avoiding it? No, but you want to make sure that your back stays slightly arched and it stays tight, like those facet joints of the vertebrae are on top of each other, and that the only thing that's moving is the hips, not the back, forward and back. Don't be sucking your butt in at the top of the movement and then arching and then sucking your butt in. You want to keep it stuck, right? So front squats are good, but I don't need them because, like I said, I got those long femurs. So they don't work for me, but for other people, they might be great for their quads. Okay. Okay, so Drew's asking about parts versus exercises, since the programs on the website have all the same split pretty much. Okay, so you're saying you want to know about what body parts versus exercises to train. So, okay, so rephrase your question, Drew. I think you're trying to say something here. Maybe you're talking about what body parts should you do. You can change up the body parts if that's what you're asking. You don't always have to do chest, back, and buys together. You can do chest and legs together if you want. It's about what motivates you and where you get the energy. But one thing I did notice is that when I train chest and back together, it's a lot easier than training chest and legs together, because I find legs, they take so much energy and so much overall central nervous system, because I squat usually on leg day, that it's harder for me to get the energy for another big muscle group, and it's easier for me to get the energy for smaller muscle groups such as shoulders and triceps or something like that. So that's why I've lumped them together like that. Okay, so the secret to getting traps, somebody asked, Joey. Joey, you're asking about Gallant and traps, how can you build them? Well, watch my video on how to get traps or how I got traps, and you'll see. And a lot of it's bent over lateral raises with external rotation, and also bent over rows, but really focusing on pulling the shoulders back, not on pulling the bar up as high as I can, but more about what is the position of the body as I'm doing these things. So when you're training back properly, you will notice you'll get more trap work from it. It doesn't mean there isn't something to be said for shrugs and these types of things, but I really didn't do a lot of shrugs in order to build traps, just so you know. I don't train vacuums, Alex, no. YouTube is turning, okay, I'm gonna not even mention your name here. Is it more safe to lock your knees? It's never safe to lock your knees. Like if you mean just straighten your knees like this, you never do this. Haven't you ever seen the Facebook video where the girl straightens her knees with a leg press and they end up bending backwards? You never straighten the knees, man. Never straighten the knees. I mean, you don't do that. You don't even straighten the knees when you're standing. If you stand up and you're straightening the knees all the time, you will get a problem with your knees at some point. Mazo or whatever. What's your take on training the same muscle every day? You can do it for a period of time, but it depends on how intense you're doing it, and you will need a day off from time to time, because if you're doing super high intensities, the muscles will at some point hit a breaking point where they can't adapt anymore. So, and which works, the slight cracking your knees is pretty normal when squatting. I get that too. Jason V, pull to the belly button or lower chest. You pull to the belly button on the bent over row. This does two things. You don't have to touch your belly button. I'm not saying you have to touch it. You could be that far away from the belly button, depending on how your arms are built. But as long as you're concentrating on this. But the fact is that if you go too far from the center of the waist, now the lower back is going to be, now the weight's here instead of here, you see? So when you're pulling, so this is your chest right here, and you're pulling the weight, this is your waist, and you pull it to your chest. When you pull it to your chest, your lower back's going to be hitting failure and taking way more stress with the same amount of weight. So if you pull here, you'll be able to actually pull more weight, not to mention you'll actually also be hitting more your lats, because if you're pulling up here, you're going to be having your elbows more flared and you're going to be using more rear delts, right? CD move for supersets worth doing? Yeah, I think they're worth doing. Why not? You can get more in, especially when it comes down to small body parts that don't get the cardio going at all. Say you're doing biceps and triceps or something, and you just want to get that workout done, but not have to, rest so much. You're resting your biceps, and while you're resting them, you could be doing your triceps. Sometimes, though, when you're doing like legs, for instance, and then you're supersetting from legs to doing chest, sometimes your cardio becomes such a factor that you won't. Well, at least I won't be able to do it. When I'm doing a real hard set of squats, almost to failure, and then I go to do chest, I'm just totally worn out, right? So I won't be able to do it. So I find that it's counterproductive to do that. Which works, I think when it comes down to squats, he's asking about would I recommend with a guy that has really thick thighs and long femurs to squat wide. I feel like I don't get as much power when my legs are close. Okay, so it's not about power. Okay, bodybuilding's not about power, but it is about efficiency. And efficiency for hitting a certain muscle group. And squats are for overall leg development. And I think that there are guys out there trying to use it like ballet, trying to put the legs really close together and stuff. But because they put their legs close together, what ends up happening? They end up having to bend over way more. The lower back ends up hitting failure long before their legs do. So are they really getting more leg development from this? So this is the question. Are your legs hitting failure first? If they're not, then this is not an efficient way for you to use the squat. That position is not efficient for you. So you're better off in doing the stance that is more efficient, where you feel like the legs are hitting failure first. You see, so this is how you apply that strategic range of motion and strategic technique. And this is another video I should be able to make, actually, strategic technique, because some guys are trying to get a little bit too fancy pants with their technique, and then at the same time, they're actually getting the opposite result because they're getting too fancy, that the technique becomes an obstruction between you actually hitting that muscle properly. Hey guys, and share my stuff. I had to say that. Robert David, no, the higher reps will not wear down your joints if you're doing the right range of motion for you. If you're bouncing off your joints, then it will wear you out. But the higher reps won't wear your joints down. Decline bench press is fine. Just make sure you have a spotter or you have something to spot you with, because lots of guys die during decline because they wear out and then that bar ends up on their neck. So just be careful with that. Is there anywhere you could, you know what? Is there any way you can work out while you're sitting by the computer? Well, you could work out if you do a squat instead of sitting. You're actually squatting and holding that as an isometric stance while you're actually typing. That'd be good. I have 2 cats there, Samuel. Okay, is knees passing toes real important? It depends on how you're built. My knees pass the toes a little bit, but I find that if the knees pass the toes too much, then the knees become the weak link in the movement, but not the muscles. And that can become a real problem. So you never want the joints to become the weak link. You want the muscles to be the weak link, right? Joints are already really too much the weak link, to tell you the truth. Who's stronger, you or a twin brother? And is he still like a superhero like myself? My brother is stronger than I am because he doesn't have the dislocating shoulder from hockey. And he doesn't have the bicep tear from the chiropractor, a partial tear, and he doesn't have the rotator cuff injury from hockey. Because I became nuts when it came down to hockey. I gave up bodybuilding from a competitive nature, and I just started playing that for a decade. And I became pretty good, actually, for a period of time. I was playing at a pretty high level in hockey, and I enjoyed it anyway. And I was surrounding myself with a lot of guys that were awesome at hockey, so they were my heroes at the time. But yeah, my brother's stronger than I am when it comes down to certain lifts, for sure, especially when it comes down to bench pressing, because he doesn't have that instability where it feels like I'm always kind of fighting that stability, you know. I'm trying to get my shoulder in the right spot, and I'm trying to find that groove. So it's not really a strength problem. It's more like my groove is hard for me to find, right? But yeah, I mean, I'm still his hero, for sure, if that's what you're asking. Yeah, Russ Cosmos, basically, watch my video on injuries I've had, and you'll get more of a detailed account of that. But yeah, chiropractor did it. This is why I tell you guys to trust your own experiences. Don't trust what people tell you. Learn to deepen your own experience and then trust in that. That's the most important thing. Otherwise, you will get fucked up from somebody because they'll do something wrong for you because they don't understand what's really going on in your body because they don't have the whole picture, right? My brother's about 1/2 an inch shorter than me, so I'm 5'8", and yeah, I'm about 5. Well, he's about 5'7", actually. I'm 5'7.5", 5'8", whatever. Yeah. You know what, Kakarot, I don't have any hockey footage. I was just playing men's league hockey and stuff, but I just loved it. It was so much fun. Yeah, there you go, Mapleberry. I'm the beauty. That's right. Yeah. Somebody's trolling. Okay, let me find out who's trolling now. Who's trolling? Who is it? Okay, I'm not seeing anybody trolling. I'm seeing it's okay, seems all right. Do I ever work my abs? No, barely ever. I rely on tricep press downs mostly to work them, and core work such as doing squats and stuff and sucking that stomach in, right? So, Bowflex is fine. You know, anything that adds tension to the muscle is fine, but it will be different. You know, using elastic bands or that kind of elastic type energy will be slightly different than using real weights. But yeah, whatever adds tension and gets that muscle to hit failure will definitely help. Okay, cool. All right. How much a week do we spend on groceries in Canada? Well, I think it would be different depending on where in Canada you live, because a city as opposed to a rural area will be different. You know, so it depends what you mean, but yeah, you can spend about $1,000 a month in groceries, you know, between 2 people, if not more. So. Hi, no name. Yeah. Okay, so Maple Bear, do I ever do heels? Here's the thing. I don't think that doing heels on squats or wearing those Olympic lifting shoes or anything is a good idea. I think if you have to wear those shoes, what you're doing is you're basically fucking yourself up, I think, honestly, because you're pushing off the knees. The knees were not meant to be pushed off of. In my opinion, they're not. They're not meant, like all power movements, like sprinting, this is the hips and this is the knees. Notice I'm going in this direction. The tension's not on the knees. When I'm climbing hills, tension's not on the knees. When I'm coming down the hill, yeah, the tension's on the knees, but I'm not sprinting down the hill. You see what I'm saying? Like the knees weren't meant for power movement. They were meant to support it. And they were meant to work as an auxiliary to help what's going on around the hip. So I do not believe in using heels or any of that stuff in order to do a squat. Now, if a person has bad dorsiflexion, like they cannot lift their foot at all because their ankle is instabilized, then maybe they need a heel then. But that's not the ideal way to train. I really don't believe in it. I saw somebody on Instagram, they say, oh yeah, I got my new squat shoes. It's like, listen, man, like, what are you doing? Like, these Olympic lifting shoes were meant for Olympic lifting because the guys had to stay straight up and down as they're lifting a weight over their head. It's a particular sport, but it doesn't mean it was the most efficient way to use the legs or to keep the knees in one piece for the rest of your life. So yeah, I would say it's not necessary. That's why I use the flat shoes. You'll see the link in the description. The flat shoes, the Adidas ones that I use, those are the ones I use. Okay, so do I prefer forward, backwards, or standing lunges? Also, why do people say forward lunges are bad? Because once again, it's the exact same thing I just said. Forward lunges, if they're ones that are bad, if you mean by stepping forward and then stepping back, the reason why that would be bad is because the weight is traveling, all the momentum's traveling forward over the toes, and then the quad has to stop. The knee itself and the muscle in front of or beside the quad has to stop that overwhelming amount of momentum and then come back. So basically you're having this shearing force on the knee and then coming back. And it's not like you're using the knee efficiently, right? So if the knee, this is the knee, okay? Can you guys understand this? This is knee. Okay, so if the weight is coming down like this and you're squatting, right? No problem, right? Because you can see the knee might come forward and then like this, just a tiny bit, right? But the weight is more like this. But if you're coming back and forth, right? Boom, like this, like a lunge, all the force is this direction. So it's way harder on the knee. It's traveling way over the knee. And I think that that would be more risky for an injury. Now, that type of motion is normal in a sport when you're stopping and starting, when you're running and stuff, but you're really only using your body weight. So I would say if you're going to do that, then you probably would be better off doing a little bit lighter weight instead of looking for a 5-rep max or some shit like that. I think that would be overkill in the knees, right? Okay. Now get good, bro. Talking about squat shoes, okay? So again, remember, if you have an ankle instability problem or an ankle mobility problem, then maybe the squat shoes are necessary. But if you don't, and you have no problem with dorsiflexion, like you can actually lift the toe, like this is, I can't do the right position. Sorry, I'm on a chair, can't do it. But say you have a leg, okay, and this is your foot, there's a bed, and your toe can come up like this, your foot can move like that, you know, then no problem. You don't really need the squat shoe, but if you can't, then, you know. And don't laugh at me, Anthony, you little bastard. Anyway, I know Anthony. Anthony, hey, Anthony. Yeah, okay, so Mapleberry Farm, bring out the teardrop. You know what? I've competed in a lot of shows there, Jeremy. Let's have a conversation, Jeremy. Let's have a conversation. I've competed in a lot of shows. And not one freaking show did I ever compete in that a guy lost because he didn't have a good enough teardrop in his quad. Not one. Not one. One guy lost, though, because he didn't have enough quad sweep, though. So that's like me training my earlobes. I'm going to train a little earlobe here. I'm just going to train this little freaking thing. Screw the chest. These little details, people focus on these things, and they're willing to risk injury because they want to focus on this little tiny little body part, when that little body part also it gets worked anyway when you're training the squat. It gets worked anyway when you're training the legs. So why not let it work there? Now, if you're doing rehabilitation, that's another thing, okay? If you're doing rehabilitation for an injury or something like that, that could be a different factor. I'm not going to take that out of account. But what I'm saying is that you will notice when you're squatting anyway, if your knees start to get really achy that way, you start to get inflammation and stuff, then that definitely isn't the right technique for you. So I'm saying go forth, my little man, or my big man, or the big guy, or whatever, superhero, whatever it is you are, okay? Go forth and train and find out what's right for you, 100%. But what I'm saying is that if you try to make a small muscle group the weak link in something when it already is the weak link, it can sometimes put a little bit more stress on that area. Okay, so I hope that was enough of resonance with your own truth and maybe helps you find the truth in it. So yeah, but I still think it's stupid. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, Jeremy. I can't help myself. I'm kind of grumpy, man. I'm always getting like trolled all the time and beat up on the internet. So sometimes I got to take it out on you guys. I'm sorry. I'm like an abusive dad. It's not good. Yeah, a teardrop. Hey, Mapleberry Farm there, Jeremy. The only teardrop that's bigger is the ones that are on your cheeks. That's it. That's the only tears that are bigger on you, man. So you just be quiet. You just sit back and you just be quiet. Don't make me pull up my old pictures, see? Don't make me drop my pants and start posing, okay? Yeah, that's right. You got the biggest earlobes in Texas. Atta boy. That's right. Yeah, just isolate those puppies. Yeah, and you know what, Kakarot? Teardrops, yeah, exactly. The reason why is because it's the stopping and starting. That's what will develop teardrops in the knee, is a stopping and starting, like you're going back and forth, changing direction. And also just little bounces, like little jumps, like this, like jogging and stuff, will work that teardrop, right? But it won't build the whole muscle belly of the quadricep itself in the leg. Man, it's 8:15. I got to go to the gym. Okay, which works? It depends what you mean by weak link. He's saying, how would you know if your quads or your hamstrings are the weak link? It depends what you mean by weak link. Are you talking about strength or are you talking about bodybuilding? Bodybuilding is pretty obvious. You just look at them and you can see which one's really small, right? Guy turns around, his hamstrings totally disappear and it looks like as smooth as a baby's butt. And then he turns around and his quads are like huge and they got all these rips and lines in them, then you know his hamstrings are weak. But if you're talking about strength, yeah, I mean, I don't know if there are ways of measuring it 100%. I mean, I know that. But at the same time, I just look at what feels natural and what feels right for your training and what are you getting results in and what do you want results in. So if you are having, like say for instance, you're squatting off your knees and you can push off your knees, but whenever you bend over a little bit and you have to do this movement and you can't do it, well then you know your hamstrings are probably a bit weak and your lower back, right? So let me just take care of something here. Okay. John N., Mike Menser and his methods. I never really liked his methods. I think Mike Menser's methods really didn't work for most people as far as the whole high intensity thing. They work for some people though, and I'm okay with that. I'm not saying it can't. You know, when some people say, hey, it really worked for me, I'm like, hey, you know what? Okay, good. But some people that say that also will say that that method works for a period of time and then doesn't work anymore, just like any other method. So I think it's okay to embrace any method as long as it doesn't wear out its welcome. And that's really important. So I think people get stuck with fanatical religion around stuff instead of what's working. And this is where the problem is on the internet. So this is the thing. So I will say to you adamantly that anything is worth a try, and if it works for you, then embrace it. If it's not working, then discard it. And when somebody, and this is the thing I have a problem with when it comes down to Mike Menser, at least what I interpret of what he was saying, is that he was saying this method works for everybody, and this is the way it is, period. I always have a problem with that because that's not true. Because, like I said, some methods will work for a period of time, and then they don't anymore. And then some methods don't work for people at all. And I found that doing that super high intense type workout, and then I'm working out for 8 days again, and then doing a different intensity workout, it just didn't work for me. My muscles already disappearing after 2 days of not training. I already noticed that. It doesn't matter how intense I work out, I can only manufacture so much soreness and so much of a pump. And I noticed within 2 days, 3 days, my body is already transforming and getting flatter. I can see it in the videos that I do. I can see it right away. I can like, oh, well, my body's changing instantaneously. So this is the thing, right? Okay, so Mapleberry Farm, that's a worthwhile comment you said about Michael Hearn there, okay? I will say, okay, so somebody's saying, is Michael Hearn natty? Okay, I competed against Michael Hearn in the Natural Universe in '97, right? He looked much different then than he does now, but at the same time, I'm gonna say this, I do think that guy's a genetic freak, and I do think it's possible that he's natural, and I'm not gonna say for sure one way or the other, because I don't know for sure. But I'm not going to say that this guy who's been consistently, unbelievably in good shape for 30 years straight with no visible side effects of any kind No big Cro-Magnon hand growth hormone head, or no gyno, or no massive other sort of issues that you would see in a guy that's a drug user. I would say it might be possible. I'm not saying for sure, but I'm saying it's possible. And the thing is that, okay, did I compete against, Kakarot, I actually trained with Michael Hearn twice as well, okay? 5 o'clock in the morning down in Venice back in 2000, I believe. And he was a nice enough guy to me, right? He's Mr. Charisma, and he was kind of like, hey, to everybody. And I know that I was just a small potato and a small fish in a big pond down there. But the fact is that I know guys that genetically have better genetics than me. Some people have better genetics than I did. And I think I'm pretty fucking proud of myself, and I'm pretty happy with what I've achieved. But I'm 100% sure that I am not the best that ever incarnated on this planet when it comes down to genetics. And the fact is that if somebody else looks better than me and they've been able to manage a higher standard of a physique, I have no problem with that. I'm not so insecure and butthurt that I think that nobody can be better than me. The whole point is that I think it's very much possible. And I think just because he looks good, he gets a lot of hate. Now, there's a lot of other guys on the internet that have been around this business for a long time that also will say that they believe that there's a strong possibility that Mike is natural. It's just that he looks so damn good, and he looked that good for a long time because his entire career has been around it, that people want to believe he's not. Now, it's the same thing with C.T. Fletcher. C.T. Fletcher came out and admitted that he used something a long time ago, okay? He did something for on and off for about a year. But the fact is that for C.T. Fletcher to look like he does now, is crazy. I mean, the guy is in, what is he, 60 now or something like that? I mean, he looked unbelievable for a long period of time, and I 100% believe he was natural for most of his career. I'd say the last 20 years or something like that, he's been natural. So I think that, some of these guys are much more impressive than people think. It's just that they want to believe the negative about them, and I just don't believe that in people. I believe that there's some people that have done certain things, but I believe it's also possible that certain people have done nothing and look unbelievably, because I know what I achieved, you see. When you have achieved something, then you don't think it's impossible for somebody else to achieve something or even achieve a little more. But the problem is you get a lot of people out there, like some of these YouTubers, okay? These YouTubers are, I'm going to tell you right now, they're idiots. These guys are fucking idiots. They're like preschool kids just talking shit all the time. And they're skinny as hell, and then they're looking around at other people and saying that person can't be natural because he looks better than me. I have no respect for this type of attitude. And I'm not saying that you need to look a certain way in order to have my respect. I'm saying you need to be embracing truth in order to have my respect, and not be spreading negativity in every single direction just because you're pissed off because this guy looks better than you, right? So they come up with graphs or fancy little things of saying if you bench press this much in comparison to this body weight, that means you're not natural. It's just a bunch of crap, My dad is a natural power lifter, deadlifted 600 pounds at 155, 160 pound body weight. And the thing is, I know what my dad achieved. I know what I achieved. So for me to see a guy like Michael Hearn, who's a much taller guy than me, and sits naturally at 40 or 50 pounds heavier because he's just got that big bone mass and frame, for him to be where he is, it's not so unbelievable for me to think that he could be natural, And I hope he sees this and he gives me a shout out, damn it. No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, that's my rant. Okay. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it's Mapleberry Farm. Some guys do look good. I mean, and they just have good genetics, No, Fernando or Rab, okay, again, you're making a leap of fucking logic here that doesn't make sense. You're saying, look, there's no way to hold that kind of strength and mass at his age. Look how he looks now after the last heart attack. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Anybody gets open fucking heart surgery or has a heart attack, they're totally disabled with training. They will lose muscle mass immediately because they can't even frickin' move. Do you understand? The body is always adapting to what you're doing to it. If you're not moving, you're losing muscle mass. I just said that if I don't train for 2 frickin' days, that I start to shrink up a little bit. Can you imagine when a guy goes through a heart attack, that massive trauma, the center of his energy is there, and he's dying, and like you think that that's not going to affect his muscle mass massively? Of course it is. So you can't judge and say that that means now he went off of something. No, the guy's just dealt with a fucking trauma that is bigger than anybody else on this planet can pretty much survive. And then you're going to say that's why he's not, like he was not natural? That's not true, man. You take any person on this planet as a natural person and they will look like they're healthy, like say they're a 200-pound just healthy person. You give them a heart attack, they'll look like a senior citizen after about 2 weeks because their body just eats up all the muscle tissue and they're starving to death, they can't even breathe. I'm telling you, you guys are really not very compassionate when it comes down to reality. It's just reality, man. So I'm not saying that there's no way he was unnatural at some point in his life, but I believe it's very possible. I believe it's very possible that he had that period of time that he admitted to, and then after that, he was natural. I believe it, because he was about twice the size when he wasn't natural. I mean, the guy was like a massive monster. And then later on, he leaned down and then got more of his health together. And I do believe that when a guy has a heart attack and goes through the health problems he went through, I think he actually started to try to take care of his health in a much better way after that. And I think that would have scared him to not be on drugs anymore. I think he would have stayed natural because of that health risk associated with it. So you guys have to embrace the whole picture. It's not about a guy just like, he loses muscle, that means he's off drugs. No, I mean, if you get the flu for a week, you lose 10 pounds of muscle mass. And you're gonna tell me that a heart attack won't cause a guy a massive amount of problems? Like, crazy, man. Guillermo, thoughts on synthol oil? That's about the dumbest thing you can do. Synthol oil is about the stupidest, most, like, I don't know, man, I'm in a rant mood today, but synthol is about the dumbest, most self-indulgent, egotistical, dumb shit a person can do. I mean, you have to be mentally a little bit off in order to do that stuff, because you're like, I'm going to put something in my body to make me swell in a certain area, basically have an allergic reaction, and that somehow means I have muscle. But yet, I can't contract the muscle any harder, I can't move any better, and I might die from it, and I might actually cause an infection which makes me lose that body part permanently or get paralysis. That seems like a good decision. Oh my God, you have to be a little bit handicapped in order to make a decision like that. And I mean not handicapped in a good way. I'm talking about you have to have no brain function whatsoever to make that type of decision. It's just so stupid. It is so stupid. Ruthless, do I think Chris Jones from Pump Chasers is natural? I think it's possible. Yeah, I don't think he looks that great. Kakarot, Jason, do I smoke? Why in the hell would I smoke? What kind of a fucking dumb person would I be if I, what the, I don't understand. I'm a drug-free bodybuilder that says I care about my health. Why would I make a dumb decision like smoking? Why would I do that? Obviously I don't smoke. Why would I smoke? I mean, while we're asking other questions, do I shoot myself in the head with a gun? Like, why don't we just ask that? Do I shoot myself? I mean, we're asking obvious questions. Obviously, I don't smoke. That's why somebody else, they said, yeah, exactly. Do I do crack? Like, I mean, somebody's asked me on the Natural Gallant Bodybuilding group, do I do insulin or something like that? I'm like, what part of natural bodybuilding do you not understand? This is called Natural Gallant Bodybuilding, meaning drug-free. I don't smoke crack, I don't use marijuana, I don't smoke cigarettes, I don't do this shit. Yes, I might drink coffee, but that's a fucking food, right? But I don't do this other stuff, I'm telling you, man. So anyway, I shouldn't have to explain this stuff to you, but thanks for asking. I don't know why you asked it, but I guess you're just trying to comment for the sake of just commenting. Yeah. So anyway, I say these things on video, so maybe the dumber people in the world will start to understand, but this is called natural bodybuilding. So Samuel Denman, is smoking weed soothes the nervous system or whatever? No, okay, why don't you use Percocet then? Why don't you use Oxycontin? Why don't you use all sorts of anesthetic? Why not do that? Because it'll just knock you the fuck out, you know what I mean? Does this seem like an ideal way to run your life? No, I mean, the thing is, I'm all about people using medicine for short periods of time, because medicine is just that. It's about a medicine to get over an issue or to heal your body. And then from there, the goal is to get off that medicine so that way you can live a life of independency, not dependency. But there are people out there that are always trying to argue about their dependency and trying to guard their addiction and say, no, I'm addicted to this, so I should have to have it and it's better for me, and they're trying to justify that. So I'm saying this. If you are dependent on something physically because you will die without it, that is a different issue. I'm not against people doing that. I think, sometimes, like say a diabetic, they need insulin. In some cases, this happens. But for people that are just trying to justify their addiction, I am not really, you're basically constraining yourself. You're basically imprisoning yourself in your own suffering, and you're never getting free of it. You're never getting independent. And this is not going to basically lead you to a higher level of self-mastery and life mastery in your life. And I'm always about helping you go towards that. So do I believe in being imprisoned as a form of freedom? No, I don't. So that's it. I believe in being drug-free. I believe in using medicine if you need to use it to live for short periods of time or for as short as possible, but then moving on with your life and becoming independent, right? I don't drink either, Arrest Cosmos. Not that I'm against beer or something. I think beer may have some health benefits, and it is a food, so I can justify that more so than just somebody lighting something on fire and sticking it in their mouth. But yeah, I don't drink either. Okay. Yeah, good for you, Chaos Bloom. Good for you, man. He said he used to be addicted to a lot of things, and now he gave it all up, and now he's natural again. No, good for you. It takes a lot of courage to do that when you've developed dependencies where these things were medicating you from experiencing yourself at a deeper level. But self-mastery, you know, unfortunately, there's no easy way in life. That's all I'm going to say. And there's always been the addiction of human nature to say there must be an easy way, and but what you find out is that you take that easy way for a period of time, and then it turns out to be the harder way. So there's no easy way, and once you embrace that, then, you know, the choice is simple. You know, self-mastery is simple, right? Sorry if I'm shivering in here, it's because it's cold in the garage. I have the heat on, but it's a little cold here, guys, so that's why my voice is, I'm not going to cry on you, it's just my voice is shaking because I'm cold, so. Okay, so Chris Beris, what about the supposed health benefits of cannabis without smoking? Okay, there are certain probably elements in there, just like there is in a lot of herbs and things that are healthy in certain conditions, but used as a medicine is different than used as some excuse to get THC or some type of stone effect in your system. So take that stuff out, and then do you still want to use it? If that's true, and it doesn't cause you to get stoned or something, but it's causing some sort of health benefit, then perhaps that's needed for a short period of time. But I don't believe in it. I believe that, okay, first of all, let's just be straight with this. I believe that cannabis, if people are going to use it, I think it has its uses, and I think it's better than a lot of the pharmaceutical bullshit that's getting put out on the market right now. But do I think that just transferring your dependency from one thing to that thing is better? I think it's better for short term, but I think inevitably you should want to get off that too. That's it. So, egg protein, spirit of dairy or whey. If you get it to mix in water, maybe it is, but I don't know. Whey update. I haven't been having any whey lately, Jason Mullins. I actually haven't. Deadlifts. I like Romanian deadlifts there, Alex Mercer. Okay, Mapleberry Farm. Okay, see you later. Have a good one, man. Favorite healthy breakfasts? I actually like grits. I actually showed a video of that a little while ago. I like grits and duck eggs. Grits and duck eggs are pretty good. Jason Mullins, cross-country skiing would be awesome for cardio, but we only got snow for about a week here, and now we don't have any snow. Although the video I'm going to be putting up is from the week that we got snow, so just, you know, just last week or whatever when I got my truck. But we don't get enough snow for me to cross-country ski. I'd have to actually go up on the mountain in order to do it, but it would be great cardio for sure, 100%. Witcher Works, did I buy duck eggs from Michael? No, I didn't know. There's actually, close to here, there's a farm that has some duck eggs. I find chicken eggs, I get a little bit of heartburn from sometimes. It's almost like my body doesn't really like that as much, but duck eggs, I don't get the reaction, so that's why. Guillermo, how often do I visit a masseuse or a chiropractor? I actually don't go to chiropractors anymore, based on a lot of them are idiots. My brother can do all manipulations of the joints and stuff and little adjustments. He can put the back in place. So once in a while, he'll do an adjustment on me once every 3 or 4 or 5 months or something like that when I feel the need. And massage therapy, I haven't been to for about 4 years. I haven't been to a massage therapist, although I do a lot of self-massage, right? So I would like to go to a massage therapist again, but I find, again, it all depends on the person. There are good massage therapists and ones that aren't so good, so I need to find a good one again, I guess. Have I ever worked out in jeans? I would never be able to work out in jeans. I'd be able to do chest and stuff, but I wouldn't be able to do legs. Egg white protein, okay. Yeah, egg white protein might be okay. I really can't tell you for sure. I've never really used egg white protein so I don't really have a lot of experience with it, right? Okay, striations in the muscles and separation. Separation is different than striation. Separation would have to do with the muscle fascia and the fat that's stored in like the individual sacs that the muscle is carrying. So if you want more separation, massage therapy to help take that part away, like the stuff not glued together, would actually help with separation. And also losing body fat. So that way the body fat that's deposited in between each muscle is also burned off. Now, as far as striation goes, that's purely just fat loss, really. Striations are automatically there, but you just need to get lean enough in order to show them. That's really how you get more striations. What do you think of the channels that take the mickey out of people training wrong? I don't understand what that means. Any tips on improving dancing? Okay, John, okay, this is funny. The most important thing in dancing, if you want to know how to dance, is that you learn rhythm. So you learn how to hit a beat. Dum, 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 dum. That's the most important thing. Then it doesn't matter what you do, but as long as you're hitting the beat, then it looks cool. But if you don't know how to hit a beat, it doesn't matter what you do, it's going to look stupid, right? So the biggest thing, like I used to know this one guy in high school, I won't mention his name, but it was the funniest thing. He used to do the Running Man and all this different stuff. He'd watch a rap video and he'd do all this stuff. And he was like, he'd always be like, I'm the best dancer in the world. He'd like talk about himself all the time, how he was such a great dancer. And he'd go out there and he'd try to impress everybody. But he was like doing his dancing was so freaking horrible because he would do the move almost right, but he would never hit the beat. It was almost like the beat would hit and then his leg would land or whatever. Like it was all over the place. It was like he just randomly just kind of having a seizure or something while he was dancing. It was the worst thing. So I would say, yeah, rhythm is the most important thing. It's 100% the most important. Once you've got that, then it doesn't matter what you're doing. As long as you're kind of like, hitting the beat, then just simple things can look good, right? And you see it a lot of times on bodybuilding shows where guys are posing, but they're not hitting the beat. They're just kind of, it's like the music is almost like there. And the music is meant to have a conversation with you, right? When you're a dancer, music is the conversation. It's like it's between you and the music. You're having this conversation. But when there's no conversation going on, then it's almost like something's in the background and then you're just randomly moving, like you're having a conversation with somebody, but you're not making any sense, right? So the rhythm is the thing, right? Yeah, go ahead there, Anthony. Yeah, I'll talk to you later. Where's my exercise bike? It's over there, sitting there all by itself. I haven't sat on it for a week or two. I've been bad. I've been working out, but yeah, not good. Okay, Domenico Zerilli. When I have a pump, do I try to keep it going during the whole workout, or do I, by taking short rests and everything? Sometimes, yeah, because the pump is pleasurable. There's no doubt about it. But at the same time, yeah, I just try to fatigue the shit out of the muscle. That's really my main goal. And if I fatigue the crap out of the muscle and the pump is the side effect, then yeah, sometimes I'll enjoy that as well. I think they kind of go hand in hand sometimes. But I also use, during my compound lifts, not necessarily the pump as the sign of what's going on, but sometimes I use the strength as far as, like say I'm squatting and I'm doing 4 plates and I'm like, okay, I got 15 reps or 14 reps last set. How close can I get to that the next set? And then the pump is the side effect, but I'm not really chasing the pump, I'm chasing the performance. So usually I chase the performance and then the pump is the side effect. Do I read motivational books and stuff? No, I don't need any motivation, Vegeta. Although I can get lazy at times when it comes down to physical stuff, I have ways of just enjoying my life, right? So because of meditation and everything, I don't need to artificially produce an experience inside me. I just go with the flow, you could say. So I don't need a motivational book to motivate me. If anything, they demotivate me because they feel inauthentic. And what I mean by that is that you're trying to produce a vision of some sort or produce a goal, and then you're supposed to follow that because somehow what you have and who you are is not enough. And that seems to be counterintuitive for me, right? So yeah, so I basically, yeah, okay, who's talking here? Somebody's saying I'm being rude? Somebody saying this? No Fap King, 21 there, big guy. I wasn't rude to him. You can kiss my butt. I'll be rude to you though if you want. I was just basically saying it just seems kind of a silly question when if you because the thing is Vegeta's been around for a while. I recognize this dude, and he's seen me, so I'm right here. Like I wouldn't have like some sort of crack habit, without you guys knowing. So the fact is that that's why it was a silly question, in my opinion, really. So the bottom line is I'm about health and fitness, and everybody knows smoking is not about health and fitness. So what the hell? Why would I do that? So yeah, just because there's some guys out there that do certain things, that's not what I believe in. So I think I've been pretty clear about that. So that's why. So anyway. So yeah, so we were on a different question there. Okay, so let me just go to something else here. Okay, John N., what effect did the original movie Pumping Iron have on my bodybuilding mythology and thinking? You know what? It didn't really have any effect on me when I was first training, because I had a different agenda than most of you guys. Like, I wasn't influenced by media so much. I was influenced by movies, don't get me wrong, and Van Damme and everything, but I wanted to be what those characters were in the movie. I didn't want to be the actors. I wanted to actually be the character. I wanted to be the superhero type character that could beat up 75 people at once and, run through the jungle and beat up aliens and stuff. So as a kid, I was influenced that way. Pumping Iron was more about the culture of bodybuilding, and I really had no urge to be on stage as a bodybuilder until I was about 21, 22 years old. And then I was only doing it to prove to people in my gym and people that didn't know me very well, but to prove to them that I was a drug-free bodybuilder, because this bodybuilding contest was a polygraph tested and urine tested show. And then I could prove to them that I'm a drug-free athlete, because I could see that they weren't really respecting what I had achieved, because they were just assuming that I was cheating. But I wasn't really obsessed with competing. Competing was not something that I was interested in. I didn't really care about getting on stage and just posing. That wasn't really my main focus. My main focus was to be a superhero of some sort. That's really what I started training for, and that's what I was obsessed with. And I liked Bruce Lee and martial arts and all this. So that's what really what influenced me. It's only when I started to say, okay, well, this is what I'm doing in my life. I've been training, and I love getting size and getting stronger. What can I do with it? And then that's when competing started to become a possibility. But it wasn't because competing was on my radar the whole time. That was never really on my radar. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Chaos Bloom. Thanks, man, for the channel. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad some of you guys are getting something from it for sure. Jason V, I answered that question about do I pull to the belly button or below the chest before barbell rows, so just rewind the video here. I answered that for you. Okay, so Witcher Works is saying he trains his legs as a whole, but when he notices when he does squats and stuff, his hamstrings are the ones that are sore, not necessarily his quads. Well, there's a reason for this that I've theorized about over the years. The thing is, hamstrings have more fast twitch fibers in them than the quadriceps do, because there's more power stuff that happens around the hamstring. All explosive movements like deadlifts and sprinting, all this kind of stuff, and jumping, it's all hamstring. So hamstring will tear down much more easily than the quadricep, and so you will get more muscle soreness for longer periods of time, because fast twitch fibers also take longer to heal. So this is why you're getting more soreness in that area. So that's totally normal. That's the way it always is, and it's been like that for me my whole life too. Yeah, no problem there, Jason V. I did answer it though. Yeah. Okay, so Renegade, okay. MMA Renegade, sorry. Okay, now I got it. What are your thoughts about supplement companies and tainted supplements and mislabeled nutrition facts on them? Yeah, I think that's a real concern, especially in the US, because they're not a governed sort of, the supplement companies aren't really tested and approved and regulated. In Canada, they're more regulated, but not regulated as much as they should be. But there is a lot more stricter regulations around it. And I know somebody that just recently got shut down. Nobody that you know, but a company that was doing some sort of vitamin type supplement thing that got shut down by somebody. So they do have a tendency to get shut down more in Canada, and there's more regulation. Although there probably needs to be some body that tests the supplements to make sure everything's pure. But that's one of the reasons why I don't really use a lot of supplements that I can see that are U.S. brands. And if they're a U.S. brand, but they're not necessarily tested in Canada, I won't use them because, yeah, I do have concerns sometimes about what might be in them because there's not necessarily as much regulation around them, right? So, yeah, I think that ideally, if a person could, and I'm not saying this is in everybody's budget, it's not even in my budget, but it would be ideal if you actually use a company's product that you have some sort of way of certifying that what they're putting in the bottle is really in there. And I know that there are some pretty great companies down in the States, of course, too. But you want to make sure that, yeah, what you're putting in your mouth is really what is in the bottle. Yeah, Chaos Bloom, I know that Chaos, Rich Piana's life has some resonance with the life that you read, or you led before. So that's probably why you miss it so much. But I have to say, you know, I never knew him personally or anything, so, you know, but I don't really like the lifestyle he was promoting. Let's just put it that way. It was not, it's something that's, let's just put it this way. There's going to be something that comes to the forefront when it comes down to the way people are talking about this, whatever it takes type of stuff and, you know, win at any cost and all this. I mean, we're seeing the repercussions. We're seeing it. I mean, Ronnie Coleman's going in for surgeries and we've got guys dying and stuff in the sport. It's going to become worse and worse and worse as this extremism becomes more obvious that it's not the best way to live your life. And the thing is, achieving is great, but you don't want to lose your balance in your life based on that achievement. I mean, even if you're a drug-free athlete, but you're working out 12 hours a day and then forgetting all of your relationships in your life, forgetting everything around you. I mean, it creates an incredible amount of imbalance and you can become unhealthy because of that as well. So it's all based on suffering, people having suffering inside. And when you're not dealing with that, then you're going to be constantly looking outside to medicate. So these people, I would say, go to my other channel called Jason J. Gallant, and it has to do with meditation techniques and ability to find out who you are and to find your fulfillment that is within. And from doing that, then what you do with your creative process externally will not be dependent or based on your suffering, but more based on your just movement of play and happiness, you see? So that's where it all has to come from. Yeah. Yeah, no, there's some good content that was made as well. There was some good content, so just so you know. But anyway, I got to go too. I got to go train, guys. I got to have something to eat and train. And yeah, this has been fun. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed some of it. Make sure you get one of my shirts. My website, see? Hey, Gallantians of the Galaxy. See that? Gallantians of the Galaxy. Got workout programs at naturalgallantbodybuilding.com. And take care for now. And I do not train forearms, just so you know. I just saw somebody there. I don't train forearms. I just grip weights. That's how my forearms got big. All right? So thanks a lot, guys. I'll be putting up a vlog pretty soon here. And maybe it's tonight or maybe it's tomorrow morning, but check it out soon. Hey, Chad. How you doing, buddy? And hopefully you guys will defend me when it comes down to these bullshit accusations that some of these guys are making on different websites, because anybody can make anything up, but it doesn't mean it's true, okay? So remember that. Consider the source of where this information comes from instead of just believing people blindly, just like I tell you not to believe training programs blindly without actually understanding the logic of what works for you and your body, right? So, all right, so thanks a lot, guys, and take care for now.